These are my TBR shelves. Surprisingly, we have a lot in common. We're both a problem, overflowing with words, and overall just generally too much. And so, I've decided it's about time to finally do something about that. Come with me, won't you? So I'm no stranger to reading challenges, but in the words of the great Monty Python, it's time for something completely different. A lot different. How so? I'm so glad you asked. 10,000 pages in 10 days. Can it be done? We will find out. Should it be done? Probably not. Am I gonna do it anyway? I'm certainly gonna try. And isn't trying the best that we can ask for? Ugh! Now, I would love to stay and chat, but I have books to get to reading. And you know what? So do you. You think I'm just gonna go through all this alone? That's not fair. Come here. Let's talk about the rules. Firstly, the name of the game. The challenge itself. The Lord Almighty. 10K in 10 days. Insane? That's quite the hefty calling, I hear you saying. And believe me, it's doing more than calling. It is screaming. It is rumbling. It is roaring in my brain that this is a bad idea. I probably shouldn't have stuck that marker into eraser in my hair, but that's none of your business. That's not why you're here. What are the stipulations? What are the ground rules for this challenge? This ultimate, timely test of reading, attention, possible comprehension, and retina damage. Now, the more mathematical of you may assume that that means 1,000 pages a day for 10 days, totaling, summing up to the total of the parts of 10K 10,000 pages in 10 days. But you would be wrong. Mathematically, you're correct, but thematically, in this instance, wrong. Instead, for this challenge, as long as we reach 10,000 pages read total in 10 days, we win. I could read 2,000 pages in a day. I could read 700 the next day. It doesn't matter. As long as we reach 10K total by the end of the 10 days, we win. What do we win? I don't have an answer for you there. You're just gonna have to make up your own prize. Bragging rights? 2% of whatever sanity that I have left. That depends on how much you think I walked in here with, which is probably not much. So sum total, 10K. 10 days. Cool. As for other stipulations, there's not that much. Audiobook pages do count. I will have to convert them from audio minutes, hours to pages, but that's fine. I can do a little bit of math. Manga and graphic novels are also a-okay, and believe me, I will be utilizing that to the best extent of my ability. As long as you can read it, it counts. I guess my writing doesn't apply here. Get it? Because you probably can't read it. I'm hilarious. And to be honest with you, that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. That's all for the rules, if you want to put it that way. Let's talk some more about it. Chey, I hear you asking, where did this challenge come from? Where is it going? Where it goes, where it stops, nobody knows, but I can tell you where it came from. Unlike our friend Cotton-Eyed Joe. That man is a mystery and an enigma, and I wish to be just like him. This idea is the hellspawn of Jan Agaton. This idea kind of started the ball rolling whenever I came across a video on YouTube called Reading 1,500 Pages a Day Every Day for a Week. And I was like, that insanity cannot be true. Can't be true. It simply cannot be done. It is too great. It is too large. The manifest too entire for one to handle on their own. She did it. Not only did she do it, Sandra, I believe her name is, she freaking did it. And I could not believe what I was seeing, and so I sent it to the Lair, Jan's Patreon Discord, and everyone was basking in amazement and in surprise with me. We could not stop talking about it. I mean, like, we literally talked about this video for the rest of the night. So as we were watching, and as we were talking about this video, Jan came up with another idea. 10K pages in 10 days. Why? To celebrate her hitting, and rightfully so, 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. She was like, this is insane. And you know what I said? What my ADHD impulsive gremlin brain said? Let's go. Anyone else looks at that and they say, that's insane. I look at me and I say, challenge accepted. And so the plans were laid. The children yearn for the mines. We have other people in the lair joining us, so if you're from the lair and you're watching this retrospectively and you joined in on this challenge, goodness bless you. I love you. I hope your retinas are doing well. I'm thinking of you in these trying times. And I'm sorry for the part that I played in the inevitable chaos that is or was or has become, did come, that unraveled. Am I nervous? I need a change of scenery. Legitimately, am I nervous? No. When we were discussing this idea, and my first reaction was let's freaking do it, no hesitation, I still feel that way. Now, do I expect to read 10,000 pages in 10 days?
No.
Am I gonna try my darndest? You betcha. Do I have a game plan? Well, here's the thing. Planning requires thinking, and, we don't do that here. We don't do that on the Press Play Chey channel. Never have, never will. You'll never catch me thinking alive. Now, the smart thing would be to try and divvy out about 1,000 pages every single day. Correct? Yes, but with me and my ADHD, I actually have a sort of strategy. Not really a plan, but just an idea, a hatchling, if you will. A little half-cell Tamagotchi to exist. I didn't like that analogy, and I'm sorry for the mental image I just put in your heads. I'm going to lose my motivation throughout the week the longer that this goes on, because my ADHD is going to be like, I'm bored, the dopamine has worn off of this, we are done, we're done, I'm tired, I'm bored, I give up. Well, here's my thing to counter that. I'm going to try to bulk as much as I can on the first 2 days. How am I going to do that? Manga. Do I think reading a lot of manga is cheating between here and there? No, I do not. I'm reading. Reading counts. Reading is winning. I do realize, and I even feel that reading all manga for this is kind of a cop-out, or at least I feel like it is. If you read manga for all this, and that's your choice, that's fine. I don't think you're copping out whatsoever. Me, myself, I like to do things the hardest possible way ever. But even I'm trying to be a little bit gentle with myself and being like, no, we're not going to read full novels. We're not going to read, like, full actual books the entire time, because I know that would burn my retinas out. I need my little pictures, I need my little goofs and gaffs to keep my little 2 brain cells, 2 neurons firing on all cylinders. All 2.5 of them. That didn't math. I can do a little bit of math. That forebodes well for this challenge. I'm not going to read all manga the first day, but I am going to bulk up on the manga that I do read the first day, which is tomorrow. I'm filming this the night before. It's currently almost 10 o'clock. I am also setting up some minor goals for myself throughout this challenge to kind of keep me motivated throughout. That way when I cross off one goal, I'm like, oh yes, I'm not thinking about the number or how many pages I have left to go. I'm thinking about, oh, I crossed off that goal. Cool. Yes. What's the next little tick? What's the next little save point that I can get to encourage me to go on? You know, little victories along the way. I want to finish reading Trigun. I only have 4 volumes left, 11, 12, 13, and 14, and so I figured just getting these out of the way, actually finally finishing the series after so long. And, dude, look at how much pages this is. This has got to be almost like 800 pages. Because 2 of these volumes have to be like over 200 pages, so they're all just about 200 pages. Second manga-related goal, finish ID Invaded. ID Invaded, sadly, only has 3 volumes, which, first of all, by the way, ID Invaded is an underrated anime. I highly recommend it to just about anyone. I love that series. I'm actually doing a rewatch of the dub right now, and I much prefer the sub, but that's beside the point. That's not what you're here for. I have these volumes left to go, 2 and 3. I'm pretty sure that I have read 2 before, but I keep forgetting if I have read it. So I'm just gonna reread it and read volume 3. 2 more little books out of the way. Smallies, but goodies. That's what she said. You're gonna realize that a lot of little wins along the way in this challenge are gonna be about me finishing series or about me finishing one-off books or books that have been on my list for a long time. And that's fine. You gotta do what you gotta do in order to propel yourself to greatness, you know? And here we go with the Italian Chey again. If Chey doesn't turn Italian once a video, it's not a Chey video. Another minor goal that I have is having my current reads. I have like 10 current reads as it currently stands. And I figure it's about time to, you know, wipe some of those off the list. They've been on there long enough. 2 of those that are currently on there, Christine and the complete short stories of Ernest Hemingway. I am a pretty good chunk into both of these. I only have literally like 204 pages left in Christine, and that's a pretty good chunk of pages to have in the challenge and to have a book off my list and finally done. I've been reading this since like last year, it feels like. This is one that I've just been slowly working my way through over time. But look how much of this guy I have left to go. All that. I'm like halfway through. This will give me a good chunk of pages and get it off my list. I'm not going to go through the total TBR with you because you're just going to see it throughout this video. But the other minor goals that I have right now are I'm going to finish the Kylie Lee Baker duology, The Empress of Time. And the last goal is to have at least half of these books that I end up reading be by Bob the Builder. Can we fix it? No, we can't. It's been broken for years. To have at least half the books that I read be by BIPOC authors. That's a goal that I have. I think that's going to be pretty easily doable considering that a giant chunk of what I'm intending to read are manga. But we'll see. See you tomorrow! I'm gonna go think about my life choices. Bye! Guess it only got 3 hours of sleep last night. This girl. Me. Maybe I got a little bit more, but it wasn't very restful sleep from like midnight to like 5 a.m. Stop it. 4:30, I think. I woke up at 3 a.m. and I was very stressed because I was like, why can't I sleep? I get up around like 6 or 7. I was like, I need to sleep. Why can't I sleep? And so I tried all my tricks that help me usually get to sleep. And finally, I think around 4:30, 5 o'clock, I like mostly fell asleep. More sleep than I had been. So I don't know that I will do the batch reading like I said today. But the sun is shining. You can tell because it looks like the second coming of Christ behind me. I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna make breakfast. And we're gonna get started on this challenge. I think I'm gonna start with a manga this morning. Actually, I'm gonna start with my 10 pages this morning in my 10 pages a day book. So that'll be a nice little start. And then I think I'll grab a manga volume. And then I might grab a longer work to start on. That way I can ping pong back and forth. I know that's not a popular opinion to read more than one at a time, but I don't care. I'll let you know when I make my picks. Okay, let's go get food. Bye. I want to get some more progress read in these books while I'm eating breakfast, and then I'll get ready for the day. But right now, we're focusing on the now instead of the chaos that will be the rest of the day. I have chosen my books that I'm going to start on while eating breakfast. Like I said, I'm going to start with 10 pages in my 10 pages a day book. 10 pages a day is a challenge that really I started in college, but I really picked back up last year around in August. There's a video about it up on this channel. This is part of that. This is my 10 pages a day book. Currently, I've already finished a couple, but this is the one that we are on now. So this will give me a good little bump throughout the week. If nothing else, I will read at least 100 pages in this guy. So we're going to start off with him. My words are like non-existent this morning. My throat is like all... There's a little reading challenge that Jan has on the layer called the Coffin Covers Challenge where each month is themed and the challenge is just to read a book with that theme on the cover. You can make that in your entire TBR, like your entire TBR be books with those things on the cover, or just have it be one book a month. This past month's June was Boat. Did I finish it? Not quite. Not quite. I am about 170... No, not even 170. What am I talking about? I'm about 120 pages from finishing this. If I had read the 120 pages the day before, yesterday, the last day of the month, I would have finished it. But you didn't. You know what I thought? You know what I thought? I was like, if I save this for the reading challenge, it's only the first day in. That'll give me a little bump of 129 pages. So guess what I'm going to do? Read them today. Duh. So already, give or take, we have like 139 pages-ish. Ow, I shouldn't lift that with my arm. My wrist is still not fully recovered from the accident. Then for our first manga today, I'm going to do Trigun Volume 11. Plus the bonus pages at the end, it's 190 pages. So, almost 200 and... No, you can tell I didn't get much sleep last night because I am not all there. Almost... I can do a little bit of math. Almost like 340 pages already this morning, so. I also forgot to tell you, I've already made I also forgot to mention, I don't know how, probably running on 3 hours of sleep, that's how. While I was making breakfast and taking my medication and doing all that fancy stuff, I was listening to a book. I was listening to Paddle Your Own Canoe, the Nick Offerman memoir, Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec, the comedian. That is going to be my audiobook so far for this challenge. I have not yet calculated how many pages that is at the end of the day. I will whenever I've listened to more in the audiobook. I just got through chapter 1, started on chapter 2. Pretty good so far. I mean, I like him, and memoirs are fun. Back to eating, back to reading. Greetings, y'all. I am back. I have changed, and I have updates. It's been just a few hours since I last updated you. I think only like 2 or 3, because it's now 11 a.m. But we have good progress. As mentioned, I read the 10 pages in this guy first, got those down, 10, boom, bam, out of the way. Nothing really much to tell you about these. I mean, it's just, it's history. It's about Thomas Jefferson. It's fine. What there is to talk about, I finished volume 11 of Trigun Maximum. Yes. 1 down, 3 more to go. And then I finished The Mercies. That now puts us at a total of 328 pages. 2 books down, 328 pages total. So, real quick, let's review these books. I have been debating about whether or not this is going to be a spoiler-free vlog, and then I realized that may kind of be a little bit difficult considering what I am reading, but also it may help keep reviews shorter and more general by not going into the details, so I'm going to kind of do a mix. Every volume of Trigun has been 5 stars for me. I'm sorry, not sorry. I feel what I feel, I say what I say. Every volume has been 5 stars. This is no different. We are ramping up to the final battle, and we are also seeing character development in characters that I didn't think would happen, and also the moments that we have between Meryl and Vash. The little... Ended me. I'm not ready for this to end. I know it ends differently than the anime, and it already is different from the anime. That's fine, whatever. But I am not ready. We are finally getting more into the lore of the plants, and actually we're seeing some Earth intervention, I'll say that. I'll try not to go too in-depth to the spoilers, but it's really interesting seeing the dynamics of, hey, there's actually more going on here than even Vash has, like, let on, which has kind of been, you know, the theme throughout the series. But we got to a point in the series where it felt like we knew him so well that it was being open and honest, and we were kind of lost in the sauce with him. But now there are things happening that it's like, hold on, wait a minute. There is still more to the story, which is super exciting, and it doesn't feel overwhelming in a way where it's like, why did you wait till this close to the end of the story reveal? It feels like, okay, no, wait. The pacing, the timing of it, perfect. Intrigued me. I'm invested. I'm loving the character development. I'm loving the characters. I'm loving the goofiness that is properly placed in here, properly comedically timed. And also the heart-wrenching moments, as usual, as is par for the course with Trigun. I know it's gonna destroy me, but I'm having a good time while it's happening. The Mercies. I have mixed feelings on this. I really, really like it, but also, Jan has been wondering if she would like this, and I'm gonna tell her. I may tell her on sprints tonight. If not, Jan, you'll see it in this video if I don't tell you some other time. I don't think you'd like this book. At least not the beginning of it, because it has mentions, trigger warnings of, like, pregnancy and birthing scenes, and a baby plays a minor role and stuff like that, but it's not overwhelming to the story, but just be sensitive and check trigger warnings if that is a sensitive subject to you. I don't want to spoil this book too much because I think I like the writing much better than the plot of the story. I know it's based on historical events, and as a history sleuth myself, I have a degree in history from Georgetown. How fitting. I didn't plan that. I love this. I love the premise of this. I love the actual historical events in the way that it's based off of and what it plays on and the details that it goes into. Very well written. I love the language. It's not too flowery for me, but it's also detailed enough that it leaves some to the imagination, but also enough to be relatable, especially since none of us, at least I don't think, unless you're like a mortal, have ever been in this kind of like situation or this kind of circumstance. The descriptions and the actions themselves are taken down to the root human level of being able to relate to the larger experience, which is beautiful and like a talent for an author to be able to do, right? That's how it transports you into the story. And so that's why I love this. The plot itself was good. I liked the characters. I sympathized with them, obviously. The sapphic elements were great. I both feel disappointed, but also feel that the ending was fitting. I kept wanting there to be a different outcome. I knew that there was probably not going to be a different outcome of what was going to happen, but I kept wanting it. And I will say the author kept me gripped to the pages to be like, well, maybe something will happen in the last moments. I kept looking down at the ticking last 30 pages when all of this was finally climaxing. Well, you know, we still have like 20 pages that's counting down, like, yeah, we're at this event, but maybe something will happen in the next paragraph. And like, I knew it wouldn't, but I kept hoping, and the author kept kind of giving that hope, which I think added to the desperation and the more impactful heart punch of when things did happen. And especially, like, the ending. I don't know how I feel about the ending, but I know how I felt about the climactic events. And they just gut wrench, gut punch. I almost said gut ripped and punched. You get the idea. I liked it. It was a good time. I'm still trying to go over what I want my strategy to be because my ADHD wants me to have 2 books to ping pong between, but I also know that if I do that with 2 books, like not just manga, but like novels, it's going to be harder to track pages like that. So I think right now what I'm going to do is keep ping-ponging between manga and a book, but like novel. I also think I'm going to go outside and read, because it's a beautiful day. And we had a cold front come through yesterday, so it's only like 70, 80s compared to the hundreds that it's been in, so I think I'm going to go outside, sit in my swing with a cup of Diet Dr. Pepper, and read. But 328 pages for 11 a.m. in the morning. Not bad. I'm so glad I finished this one. It just feels good to be able to finish a book and be like, yes, I finished another one. We're gonna get cracking on some more. Bye. For my next 2 picks, I have Trigun Volume 12. Of course, I really want to try and finish Trigun today because I only have 3 more volumes, including this one. And then The Housemaid. One reason I want to finish this is just because it has short chapters, and also it's my cousin's book, so this will give me an incentive to finish it and return it to her and be able to talk to her about it. Also, I feel bad because this thing is kind of in really beat-up condition. It was not like this when she gave it to me. It was ejected from my car and got, dirty when I was flipping and rolling like 3 or 4 times a couple weeks ago. But it's fine. It's still all in one piece. So I will finish this one probably today. It seems really easy to fly through, easy to read, and it'll be perfect to read in conjunction with this. I might go ahead and take the rest of these out there with me outside, because I will probably just read them all in one go, in between ping-ponging this and this. I don't know. We'll see. But for right now, this is where we stand. Hello, friends, family, all configurations of being. I have returned from the out of doors. It has been a very successful past 2 hours? Yeah, because it was like 11 when I went out there, and now it's 1. I have great news. I have finished another book, and I have gotten 150 pages, about 46% according to Goodreads, into The Housemaid. I want to talk about Volume 12 a little bit because I am not physically okay, nor do I think I will be physically okay for Volumes 13 and 14. I know that it's going to destroy me, but this one really, really did. The author of this series writes action scenes in such a way that it takes me longer to actually delve into what's going on, because no spoiler alert, you're not going to know what's happening, but look at all that. The insane detail, just like Q Hayashida, another one of my favorite manga authors, actually my second favorite compared to this author. They are both so detailed and intricate in their styles that I don't mind taking a little bit longer to actually read them for this challenge. I would stay up all night rereading this series, and I probably will sometime in the future. 6 out of 5 stars. Freaking 6 out of 5 stars. If I'm going to get a tattoo for Trigun, which I have been planning on for years, it will probably be a panel from this volume. There's so many good ones that I can't show you without it being spoilers. I'll just tell you, we are now getting into the final showdown between our two, the protagonist and the main antagonist. Because I want people to read this, but I don't want to spoil it for them. Just please go read Trigun. It's so good. The tension is building up, ramping up in all the right ways. The surprises are happening at all the right moments. There are just these little plot devices that are slowly working intricately with each other. The pacing and the timing are still working so incredibly well and so fitting. Like I said, it takes a little bit more brain power to divulge what's going on in the action scenes because they are so action-packed. But the drama and the tension and release dynamic in this book, in the pacing, so good. So good, and it keeps me hanging on to the next page, and I'm just like... And we're also getting more and more backstories on various other characters, and there is a character that I have seen is like very well loved in this series, and when I first found him, I was like, I don't know about that, but now I get the hype. I get the hype for the love for this character, and I would die for him. That's all I have to say. I know the next volume is I'm not gonna be okay. As for how the housemaids go, ma'am, you're sitting haphazardly on some of my books, but can you hold it together for another minute, please? I'm 150 pages into this. Originally, I read 100 pages, and then I was like, I'm gonna read a volume of manga, so that's what I did. But I was in a good pace outside, and I was like, I'll read 50 more pages. So with reading that volume of Trigun and reading 150 pages of this, so far, we are up to 718 total pages so far today. Pretty sick. What am I thinking about this? I don't think it's going to be a 5-star for me, but I am enjoying it. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but I believe there's more going on than meets the eye. I'll just say this. The husband is put in too good of a light, and I don't trust it. I don't trust it. The wife is too easy of a villain. but I am appreciating the approach to the main characters, how she views mental health and like discussions around that. Because at first, when that was brought up, I was like, is this gonna leave a bad taste in my mouth? Is this gonna be like one of those things where we're villainizing people who have mental health struggles? And it's not, which is such a relief. And I sympathize with the main character a lot, especially because she is a former incarceree, and that's part of why she was struggling to get a job all these years, and we still don't know the full background on that. And as someone who has a bunch of family members who were formerly incarcerees, like I totally get and totally sympathize with a lot of her perspectives and viewpoints on things. And I just really respect her approach in dealing with the wife who is supposedly the very, I don't know if strawman is the correct term for that. I don't think it is. The easily hateable, dislikable character of the two whenever the husband is so charming and he's just the one to turn to and be like, oh, how is he with her? Like, he could do so much better. That's a trap. I know it's a trap. I don't know how it's a trap yet, but I guarantee you there's more than meets the eye. I guarantee you there is more than meets the eye. I like that the main character is like, well, you know, like, I hated it. I thought something was wrong with her. Clearly, like, she's got a lot going on, and, like, that's why she acts like this, and I feel really bad, like, for all this stuff that's happening, and, like, my heart goes out to them, and I want the best for them, and I'm like, okay, cool. Don't trust the man. I don't trust him. I don't trust him. He's too good. He's too easy to like. I don't like him. Don't trust a man like that. And so far, we might be getting a little peek behind the curtain in that. And I'm like, I'm gonna tell y'all. I know I'm right. And I know, next time you see me, I'll probably have finished this. Or I'll be starting back on it. Right now, I'm starting. I'm gonna eat lunch, because it's 1 o'clock and I'm starving. I'm going to refill my Diet Dr. Pepper, my Vash cup that I got for my birthday. Can you tell Trigon is my favorite series? It makes me very, very happy. And I also am doing a little incentive throughout this challenge where for every 500 pages that I read, I get to watch an episode of anime. I'm trying to work my way through Naruto, okay? And Inuyasha. Both rewatches from from shows that I watched when I was a kid, and I haven't seen in a very long time. This is also just a good way for me to turn my brain off and I'm still using my retina, but at a distance, just give my eyes a little bit of a break, give my brain a little bit of a break. I don't know whether I'm going to go ahead and watch that episode while I eat lunch, because it's so nice outside. I might go outside and eat lunch, I might sit in here and watch the episode. I might save it for later tonight, after sprints, before I go to bed. Because I'll definitely have read 300 more pages and hit 1,000 by then, because I'll have finished another manga volume for sure. And then I'll have 2 episodes stacked up, and I may watch them back to back, or watch one of each. I don't know, but what I do know right now is I'm gonna go make lunch, and this clip is way too long. We'll talk later. Bye.
The #1 hyperactive knucklehead ninja. And Sasuke.
Ladies, gentlemen, all configurations of being, we did it. I finally finished The Housemaid. My original plan was to come out here for like 5 minutes, or sorry, a few minutes, and finish the next 50 pages and then go on the swing over there and read some manga. Then I was like, oh, well, then I only have like 70 pages till I finish it, because that put me on like, I just was like, I want to keep going. It's at a good pace, it's at a good clopping speed for me to continue on and finish, and so I did. This makes 300 and something pages down. I will tally it up later. 325 down? Yeah, 325 down in this book. Like 150 more or something from what I told you at lunch. Don't worry, I'll add it up later. Okay, the ending was a 5-star ending. I love the ending. Overall, though, after reading a review that reminded me of something that took me out of the haze of the great 5-star ending, like the last paragraph, I was like, hell yeah. But, you know, goodbye Earl kind of vibes, and we love to see it. And also the revelation at the event at the end of the book is kind of a satisfying ending, though. Very satisfying. But I read a review that reminded me of some things that did irk me throughout the book, and so it dropped it down from the ending was still 5 stars, but overall the book was like a 3.5-ish. Millie's been to prison, and yet she basically has terrible survival instincts until the very end of the book. Like, when she goes into the room and she's like, I could be locked in here and, like, nobody would hear me scream, and all this stuff is happening. I was sitting out there on the bench earlier reading this before, like, I knew the details of what else was happening, and the way she was being treated, I was like, no. I would be the out of that house. But I also understand, as a convict or, you know, an ex-con, it is extremely hard to get a job and you're desperate and stuff. And I was like, yeah, baby girl, that's what they're counting on. You need to run. You need to run. You need to run. I would absolutely not. No. No. You know, it was just frustrating. Like, I understood it, but it was frustrating, and I know to each their own personality and to each their own experiences and stuff like that. But girl has no survival instincts except to the very end of the book. Like, she gets locked in a room, I'll just say that has a window, and yet only thinks about how she can't break out of the locked door. Baby girl, you got a fridge next to that window. I'm just saying, like, it's not a big fridge. It's big enough to break some glass, though, and guess what? You might break some bones on the way out of the window, but you sure as hell won't be locked in that daggone room no more. Okay? Like, but then, of course, you know, when it counts, when it's the big climax, everything works out perfectly. So that was frustrating. And also, it does read like a diary of, like, a teenage girl. Her turnaround to her emotions and feelings are super sudden, and, like, I just don't understand them. I can kind of brush that off by the fact that she has been incarcerated since she was a teenager, and so, you know, her social and emotional skills developed in different ways. She even talks about, like, her feelings towards men and, like, idealizations and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, that's frustrating, but I can let that slide. It's just kind of a irky thing. But, like, the survival skills, you were 10 years in prison. Sorry, that's a spoiler. You were 10 years in prison, and you're not clawing your way out of that room? Like, you think, oh, door locked, I twapped. You are not Ramboing your way out of that room? Girl, you killed a man! Sorry, spoiler! I'll put up a spoiler warning for, like, the next 10 seconds for whatever that's done. Otherwise, it was good. The ending was a 5-star ending, but it was good all the way through. I will say, as for the writing style, like, the plot and the pacing and all that, very good. The amount of revealing information, the pacing of doing that, very good. So if you're just looking for a quick, good thriller, I do recommend this. It is very good. I enjoyed it. But if I had to nitpick it, which I am, and I realize I might be being a little harsh, but I'm being honest and self-aware about that, then those are the criticisms I would have to pick. But I still rate this like a 3.5 stars, which is very much not bad. It's pretty good. I'm also trying to be a little bit harsher with my reviews, because I tend to rate a lot of things 4 stars, so I'm trying to be a little bit more critical analysis, use my good Georgetown degree, you know. Within the first couple pages, I thought of Jan, because it was that dreaded line. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding, and I was like, I'm about to get out of the sun, and I am going to go read volume 13 of Trigun. Let's get it. Look at how beautiful this day is, though. Look at this. Sun shining. I've been tanning out here for like 2 hours. I'm probably burnt to a crisp. I should probably go take a cold shower before sprints tonight, but probably do a lot of things. There's probably a lot of things that I should be doing, but I'm not. Yeah, I didn't need your agreement, but your input is welcome. I'm about to start the last volume of Trigun, and this is a very emotional time for me. So if I'm away from my phone for hours at a time, you know why. Look, I am not gonna be this happy by the end of this book. I am feeling. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. This is a series I'm gonna read over and over and over again. I know. But it's emotional finishing it for the first time. And I haven't even started the last volume yet, but I'm about to. I finished Trigun 13. We're now on Trigun 14, the last one in the series. Finishing a mini goal for this challenge and gonna get almost another 300 pages read. Help me. Finally finished Trigun, and it feels so freaking good. Volumes 13, Volumes 14, which is the final volume, and ends off one of my mini goals for this challenge, which is to finish Trigun, finally. One of my year-long goals, one of my year-long reading goals, a goal that I've had for a long time, ever since I finished collecting the series, which I am a little bit petty that they're now going to start reprinting hardcover Ultimate Omnibuses after I just finished spending a bunch of money collecting the original pressings, but you know, whatever, it's fine. As long as I own it, and I enjoy it, and I do, and I do. Yes and yes. I had such a great time reading both of these. These are both 5-star reads. The double duel in this one, so combined, total, together, these already have over 500 pages, which puts me over the top of 1,000 pages already just today. I'm going to be excited to calculate the total up for the end of this evening because we still have sprints left to go. I have a lot more energy, reading energy left in me. Frankly, I'm quite excited. I knew I was going to be energized by the completion of one of these minor goals, especially one like this that is so important to me and just ended with such a good outcome. So I am more energized for reading throughout the rest of tonight and this evening. I probably won't stay up too late reading because I didn't get much sleep, as I've already said. And also I kind of want to wake up early in the morning and make some eggs for breakfast. I'm not quite sure if I'll actually do that yet, but it is kind of on the agenda. But that's from the future. We're going to talk about right now. And right now, I have finished these 2 lovely books, and I'm going to talk about them. So this one mostly followed the double duel, as it says, double duel. And without giving too much into spoilers, I just want to say, these last 4 volumes have honestly probably have some of my favorite I always want to say panels because I think my brain has the pronunciation for manga in mind, like manga and panels. I know it's not correct. The panels in these last 3 volumes, especially the emphasis like on the eyes and like the motions of the body, have just. I'm really big on art styles and different panels in manga, and these just. The pacing and the timing and the plot development and the characters and the conversations, especially the conversations on ideals and that climactic moment where someone very important has to make a decision that they never thought that they would have to make, or at least they figured they would have to make, but like always thought that they would choose a different outcome, and then pretty much with less hesitation than they thought possible, they make a decision. And also don't get me started on the scenes between Meryl and Vash. Not quite what I was expecting, but I also didn't have my hopes up too high. But I just love companionship in general. Like, I love the friendship between Meryl, Millie, and Vash to begin with. I love the plots and the themes of friendship and companionship overall in these books, especially working to overcome adversity and really come together and rely on each other and draw strength, not just from your internal willpower, but drawing strength from others. From others, even when you feel like you have nothing left, to have someone else beside you being like, hey, it's okay, you know, literally, like, you can let go, we're here with you. Y'all, it's like found family without being a trope of found family, I guess. Like, it feels more of a realistic interpretation of it, at least to me in my experience. I know I'm kind of lumping these 2 together, but I kind of have to if I don't want to spoil the ending for you. Just know that the character development in these, the pacing, the plot, I know I talk a lot about that, but that's only something I can talk about without spoiling them because it's very heavy on the spoilers, obviously, as these are the last 2 volumes. Am I happy with the way it ended? Yes. I will say, to me, it felt a little anticlimactic, but also I think that's fitting because the last 3 volumes have been nothing but climax the entire time, and it's a good ending. I like the ending. I was just like, oh, that ultimate ending is not what I expected, but like, okay, cool. I'm not really quite sure what I expected, but this is fine. This is cool. I'm happy with this. I felt like it was a good ending. I felt like it was just such a nice tension relief for all the drama that had been going on, rightfully so going on. The fight scenes, amazing. I think by the end of the volumes, I was getting better at interpreting the fight scenes and actually looking in to the details because I've been trained throughout reading the other volumes, right, to know what to look for. And that just speaks to this author's work, is that you actually have to look into the details of the panels where everything is not delivered to you. You actually have to be like, wait a minute, what did he just, where is his arm? And then you turn the page and you're like, wait a minute, okay, hold on. And you go back and you're like, wait, there was his foot the whole time. That's what he was doing. I love that. I love that it draws you in. I love that you have to pay attention, but also without working super hard, but also not have everything delivered to you. It's the kind of engaging story that pulls you along for this nonstop ride the entire time and knows when to give the proper comic relief. And also without being too preachy to the choir. These characters have their own soliloquies in their own times, and they also give Shakespeare-esque dramatic ideal conclusions to each other, but I mean, what anime and manga doesn't? You probably come to expect that if you read these. 5 out of 5 stars, so 10 stars for both of them. I'm very happy with this. I'm very happy with the way that it ended. I love the recalls to earlier events. I loved the overall themes that it ended with, that it built up upon. Yes, Chey, those are the words. My brain's a little bit fried, you'll have to excuse me. And I am going to go over the 2-minute limit a little bit to talk to you about these because I love them so much. I'm just so happy. I've been working on these for like over a year, and now that it's done, it really has cemented it as one of my favorite series, my top favorite series of all time, besides Dorohedoro. Trigun and Dorohedoro tied for my 2 favorite manga series. I was gonna say anime, but I don't really like the Dorohedoro anime, it's fine. But the Trigun anime, though, the original... Girl, don't even get me started. But the manga series themselves are my 2 favorites of all time. And so I'm glad to have finished these, finally. And you're like, Chey, you already decided it's your favorite of all time, you haven't even finished it? Mind your business. I feel like my heart is settled but also energized. Just so many of my favorite characters coming together and developing and having realizations, and the villains aren't sympathetic, but I liked getting more of their background. And maybe for a lot of characters, especially the antagonistic characters, there wasn't a lot of development except in some key areas, but I felt like they were even more fleshed out in the way that they were supposed to be, in the way that you want a villain to be. Not enough that you sympathize with them, but more that you understand where they're coming from, and it gives pieces to the puzzle of how did we get here and why did we get here this way? What happened between then and there? Why do you have this undying loyalty to this like horrible person? You know, one of my favorite authors, one of my favorite series, would read again and again, and I'm sure, I mean, I know I'm going to, but I'm sure I'm going to discover something new every time. The art style in this is just so freaking beautiful. I think I have decided. Now, listen here. You didn't have to go and do all that now. I'm trying not to get my head stuck in the armchair or the swing, because I'm just going to finish up the segment talking to you like this. It was a great series. I had a great time. I think I'm going to sit out here in the sun and relax for a little bit more while I swing back and forth, talking to you. And I think I'm going to actually take a picture of the couple of my favorite panels for tattoo reference ideas. So I'll check back in with you probably when it's time for sprints. Bye! End of night 1. Hi. We're just gonna make a quick little update because it's past 11 p.m. and I want to go to bed. Sprints with Jan went great. They ended a couple hours ago. That was around like 9:30. Again, it's like 11 p.m. now. They went great. We had a fun time. Really fun, cozy reading time. Got a bunch of reading done, in which it was pointed out to me that I am apparently a beast of reading that I didn't know that I was. Sorry. I wasn't sure what I was going to read during sprints, but I ended up picking Best Way to Bury Your Husband because of Jan's suggestion. I had 2 books, and actually she ended up guessing exactly what... Well, I told her what the first one was, and then she ended up inadvertently guessing what the second one was, because just on the wavelength, I guess. You know, Queen. We love to see it. Ended up choosing this one, and I started reading it, and I got 60% into it. 232 pages read during those sprints. And I converted the audiobook pages from earlier, and apparently I would be on like page 20. So that brings our total up to today is total. I am so sleepy. I'm so sleep deprived. So that brings our total for today, for day 1, up to 1,680 pages. 1,680. I think I've earned a well-rested sleep, so we'll talk in the morning. Good morning. Day 2. Let's hear it for day 2. We did not wake up at 4:30. I'll edit this out if Jan doesn't want me to talk about that, but we both failed. I woke up at 4:30, and then I fell back asleep at 4:40, and then I didn't wake up till almost 6. But it's okay, clearly my body needed it, so it's fine. My eyes are burning. Who's that with the flame eyes? Is it Elton John? Nope, it's me. I feel like that dude in SpongeBob. He's like, my eyes. I know I look disgusting, but here we go. Here we are. It's a reflection of my sleep. overall, I think it went really, really well yesterday. Everyone was like, oh my god, it's over 1,600 pages. Whoa! And I'm like, yeah, I get it, but I promise you, it's not gonna be like that all week. It's not. Like, after Wednesday, I'm probably gonna slow down a lot, if not even start slowing down today. Like, I just don't see my momentum keeping up that much. Like, I need to bulk up my momentum as much as possible these first few days to really see me through, you know? Like, today I need to try to shoot for over 3,000, like, total. Anyway, first plan of attack this morning. Getting up to get breakfast and coffee and all that good stuff. And while I'm doing that, I will listen to my audiobook, and then I'll read 10 pages in my 10 pages a day book, and then I'm probably gonna finish Best Way to Bury Your Husband, if not start another manga. I'm only like 100 or so pages, 140 something pages from Best Way to Bury Your Husband, so I'll probably just go ahead and finish that. And then I probably either Sakura Tyson or Snow White with the Red Hair. I guess we'll see. I'll catch up with you then when I decide. What's up? Good morning. Morning of day 2. Mid-morning, actually, because it's like 11 a.m. Alright, so let's catch you up on what has happened since I've last seen you. Where do we currently stand? Well, I'll show you my pile of books that I have completed as of current, and I just ripped some of my own hair out. Metal AF. As of right now, this is our current finished stack of books. The Mercies I had already started and finished, so in terms of actually started the books and read them from start to finish, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 already, and we're just in the morning of day 2. What have I finished since I've last talked to you? Well, the only book that I've been reading, which is The Best Way to Bury Your Husband. I thought it was really good. I saw you know how like there's always like a final reveal in like the little epilogue kind of chapter after the big climax and all that kind of stuff? How it's like, oh, it turns out someone is actually related to a king and now they've come into a lot of money, haha, happy ending, like that kind of thing. Yeah, I saw this one coming from page 50. I saw it coming. I saw it throughout the book. I was like, this is what has happened. And it turns out I was right, which I was not surprised by. I was like, yep, saw this coming. The clues were all there. The signs were all there. I sound like the aliens guy from the History Channel. I was like, but I know it. Overall, what did I think of the book, though? I don't really like that it's a pandemic novel, but it kind of gives the setting and the details of it purpose. Like, it is not just... The book wouldn't be the same without it the way that it's written, I'll put it that way. So in that way, I was like, alright, fine, cool. I can deal with it. And also, I haven't been burnt out on pandemic novels a lot. I don't know, I'm tired out of the Backstreet Boys reunion tour in general, you know, discussion of it. I think this is actually the first novel I've read recently, like first recently published novel that actually mentions it. Well, it had to be recently published, but it started like 4 years ago. Where has time gone? I got up to page 233 in sprints last night, and I didn't end up reading any more. I did get up this morning, and I finished this sitting on the couch, got to page 387, so that means I read 154 more pages. And like I said, overall, I really enjoyed it. I gave it like a 3.5 out of 5 stars, rounded it up to 4 for Goodreads. I really enjoyed it. It's just a fun, easy reading, not thriller, but fun time. A major thing I really enjoyed about this book was the diverse character element. They all had their own fleshed out backstories of how they got to where they currently are, and even then, that didn't stop them developing. I think the author does a great job of consistently sticking to the character's given traits. So, like, if one character, to begin with, is anxious, throughout the book, they are anxious. If they are a worrywart, throughout the book, they are a worrywart. But of course, those do follow along the lines of rational character development throughout the plot that makes sense. The character development doesn't start out convenient and then plateau, which is really nice. Like, they all stay diverse, they all stay fleshed out. How they got there, how they react to the situation, how the situation develops. It was just interesting and engaging, and just a fun overall read on the brain. But please be aware that this book is very heavy on the subject of domestic violence. It centers around it, in fact, so if you're sensitive to that subject, don't even pick this up. I would not recommend doing that. But of course, you know yourself better than I do, so check proper trigger warnings and all that just before you pick this up. I just want to put that out there to anyone who may be thinking about it, who is sensitive to those kind of situations. And that's another thing I want to mention about this book. The complex emotions, the psychological and emotional elements that come surrounding that kind of subject in this book are so detailed that I can tell this author did a lot of research, has done their in-depth homework on the kind of psychological and emotional effects that that situation has on a person. And I think what really shows the author's skill, because I think this is like their debut novel, maybe I'm wrong about that, editing Chey will tell me, but I think what really shows this author's skill is the way they're able to work in those complex and in-depth psychological and emotional effects to be fitting around each and every character's circumstance. Even though they're all different personalities, all different people from all kinds of different backgrounds, they're able to still fit those feelings into the framework of those characters and how they would react to the situation. I liked it. It was fun. It's a good time. That sounds a little bit wrong coming out like that, but I think you know what I mean. It was a good read. Sheesh! Alright, let's get back to some summing up. Since finishing this book and reading a couple other things this morning, what is our total page count up to right now? As of right now, we are 1,874 pages into this challenge. Last night, it was 1,680, then this morning, I finished reading 104 pages in here. I read, according to the audiobook calculator, 31 more pages in my Nick Offerman book. Paddle Your Own Canoe? Yes, that's it. And then I read 10 more pages of my 10 pages a day book. So, 1874. We're doing good. My goal for today is to get to 3,000. Maybe. We'll see how it goes. I also plan on working out later, so it's going to take up a significant amount of time, but it's okay. I'm already ahead. I also meant to do a thing yesterday, but I kept forgetting to do it, so we're just going to do it now, okay? Inspired by Jan, who does a fun fact after every book. I'm an audio engineer and I'm crazy about music. If you're new here, hi, hello. What's up? I've decided I'm going to try and recommend a song after every book that I read. Ow. My scar that I got from my car accident is like healed, but it's still extremely sensitive, so if I like even press on it, it's like a freaking razor blade being pressed into my palm. And I also will admit that sometimes I may have more than one song that I want to recommend in conjunction with a book. That's okay. It's my chaos. Let's start off with the first book that I started this challenge on, The Mercies. Obviously I kind of want to ow, my wrist. Obviously, I kind of want to recommend The Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin, but I was like, you know what? This is a female-powered, like, central book. So I want to recommend Barracuda by Heart, because, of course. And also the lyrics, Burn Down to the Wick, kind of ironic. That wasn't intentional, but, like, I just think of Heart, I think of powerful women, powerful vocalists, guitarists, and I'm like, hell yeah, girl power. Next, let's go with Trigun, Volume 11. For this one, I'm gonna go with King of Nothing by Ocean Sleeper. I can't get too much into it because of spoilers, but basically this is kind of like the final countdown-esque to like the big battle where Vash is having this big internal crisis about what's to come and the battle that's to come and all these internal decisions he's gonna have to make and the consequences of someone's actions that are all gonna come down on them and how to prevent said circumstance from being the worst case scenario. And he feels like he's stuck between these two worlds, these two obligations, these two charges to his personality, what he thought his personality has been this whole time, his ideals that he's been holding on to this whole time. I think it's perfect. Also, Ocean Sleeper is an underrated band. Trigun Volume 12. The first song that I want to recommend for this book is actually from the Trigun soundtrack itself. It's the track fittingly called Knives. Pacing of the song, the guitars in the song, everything just really, really fits fittingly for this book. So much so that I put it on my Instagram story because I was like, yeah, that pretty much sums it up. But in terms of going off from the soundtrack itself, you're not going to be surprised that this band had to end up at least once on this list. I'm going to recommend The Surface by Beartooth. This volume really embodies, might have pushed it to the limit, but I'm not dead yet. I'll just say it like that. But I also want to recommend a second song for this one besides the soundtrack, which is The Angel in the Marble by Holding Absence. The lighting is changing as rapidly as my thought pace in here. Volume 13. Volume 13 of Trigun. Just one song recommendation for this one, and it's going to be Limits by Bad Omens. If you're throwing me to the lions, you should know I'm not scared of dying. Also, that little part in the bridge where it's like, but you're pushing my limits, and he goes up with his vocal. Very fitting for one particular moment in this volume, and if you read it, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Actually, you know what? In the whole latter part of the song, like the last part where it just kicks in with the vocal going up and like in intensity matches the perfect pacing and intensity of this volume in and of itself. Just so many things synesthetically. I have synesthesia, but it comes in image-based synesthesia, not colors. Synesthetically, that's pretty much... This would be backwards, though. Because I'm not seeing images with it, instead I'm seeing the song because I'm already seeing the images. Basically, I think the pacing of the song, the intensity of the song, everything about it fits with the pacing and intensity and everything about this volume. That's kind of the purpose of this Chey. Yeah, they got that. Volume 14 of Trigun, the ultimate volume. Not the penultimate, that's the second to last. the last volume. The first song recommendation is going to be Oldie Station by 21 Pilots, which is off their latest album, and which has back-to-back banger after banger. But Oldie Station in particular, because it's more of a hopeful yet kind of somber-esque song, but very hopeful with this underlying tension, this nervousness, this anxiety, which I think is a big theme, especially in the first part of this book, or maybe in the middle, closer to the end. But still, over top of that is this hope that's overwhelming, that kind of anxiety that is taking precedent over it, or at least trying to. And I think that perfectly encapsulates a lot of this book, a lot of the tension as we're coming down from the ultimate, like, climax, or building right at that precipice of it. What you don't expect is gonna happen, and then as we're, like, on the downhill slope of you're realizing, like, oh my gosh, like, that's how it is? Like, that's how this whole thing turned out? Like, oh. Because it does not maybe take the turn that you expected, but also kinda yes it does. Like, you're not surprised by it. And of course, there's the happy, I mean, look at his face. You know that it's gonna have some goodness at the end of this. Yeah, I'll spoil you with that. That is not all tears and mud and blood. This is not Doro Hidoro. The second song that I want to recommend, because of this little happy face right here and the little happiness in the ending, at the ultimate ending, is Blame It On Me by George Ezra. I feel like this is another fitting song for Vash, the 60 million double dollar man who literally every tragedy gets blamed on because he is the humanoid typhoon. So, could there be a more fitting song for Vash? It's upbeat, it's happy, it's fast, but it's also like, yeah, blame it on me, you might as well, but look at me! Fitting, perfect, also love George Ezra. It's just a good, like, summertime vibes song. An honorable mention that I thought about relating to that book is Long Live by Taylor Swift, because it's very much, at the end, like a calling of the cast, if you will. I was gonna mention Badlands Rumble, but I won't do that. But I feel like Long Live might be a little bit too somber, a little bit too nostalgic, even though it kind of is hopeful, like Oldie Station is. So that's just an honorable mention. It has a lot of that vibes, too. I would also recommend that as an honorable mention. Yeah, thank you, Chey, for repeating yourself. And finally, The Housemaid. Just one song recommendation for this, and it's Don't Reach For Me by Knocked Loose. There's a lot of reasons, but one of the main ones is the lyrics. What... a fitting in for an absolute fucking clown. Originally I was gonna say, like, I always feel like there's someone watching me, but then I was like, I wanna do something a little different. I wanna do something that may be a little less known. But that's the honorable mention for this one. That's legitimately the first song I think of when I think of this. Maybe I'm biased because of the cover, but I'm gonna say Don't Reach For Me by Knocked Loose. I have two songs for this. The first one is going to be blatantly obvious. And I would say that it's a spoiler, but no it's not, because if you read the back of the book, it's on the back of the book, the plot is there. The first song is fittingly Goodbye Earl by the Chicks. Listen, I grew up in the Deep South, okay? The lyrics to Goodbye Earl are as imprinted on my heart as the Pledge of Allegiance when I was growing up, alright? Let me tell you something, there is no quicker way than to scare a group of men and excite a group of girls down here in the South than putting on Goodbye Earl. Okay? Every single girl in that crowd will start screaming the lyrics and men will look afraid for their lives. At least the ones that you need to watch out for. Southern girls, tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. You know I'm not. Also, if you've never heard that song, just, yeah. Goodbye Earl, a freaking amazing song. I want to go jam it now. What am I doing? I have another song recommendation. And it's Is There Life Out There by Reba McEntire. Reba, one of my queens alongside Dolly. Freaking love Reba. This song addresses more of the emotional aspects that I would relate to this book, more to the internal after effects, crises, reevaluations these women have to do, these people have to do after these situations. So, both very good songs, both very fitting. Yeah. Oh my god! I can't back up on doing those anymore. That took way too long, but I am going to keep doing it for every single book. Now, when it comes to what books am I going to read next? Thanks to Jan chose for me. It's going to be You Look Better as a Ghost.
Hello there.
To keep my interest, I think I am also going to pick a manga and another book to start reading on, just to have as an alternate. So, I'll come back to you when I choose them. Alright, now I have all three of my reads. Thank you to Kins for helping me make that decision. Jan's suggestion was You Look Better as a Ghost, of course, and then Kins picked out Snow White with the red hair, and also for me to go ahead and finish Christine. And honestly, I'm feeling like finishing it anyway, just to like have it out of the stack and have it out of my brain. I'm enjoying it, but it's just time to be done with it. It's time to let it go. It's time to move on, you know? And also, Snow White with the red hair. Great alternate choice, Kins. Smart. I have such smart friends. I have such smart I was gonna say pretty, but I was like, does pretty sound demeaning? But you're just all so gorgeous inside and out. I love you so much. Okay, bye.
So,
My goodness, handsome, I am on my way. Can't you give me 2 seconds? Much obliged, handsome. What's up? Are you gonna let me pour in the feed without eating my hand? No, you can't eat that. The food is in there. Oh, my big grumpy man. Hey, no need to get sassy. Are you my big grumpy guy? Yes, you are. He doesn't know me in my sunglasses. Do you? Whoa, hey. You big goofball. Good morning. I did not update last night because I did a little mini workout and then I honestly didn't read that much more. I read some here and there, but yesterday was not a great reading day for me in comparison to the first day. I think it was a cavalcade of reasons, probably because I didn't sleep well the night before again, so it was double compounded of not sleeping well, sleep deprivation, also wanting to work out, but feeling a little bit too nauseous from said sleep deprivation to work out. But I did manage a little bitty one and felt a lot better. And so I got in bed and read some before bed, which was nice, but I didn't end up finishing any books except for one yesterday, which was a manga, Snow White with the Red Hair Volume 3. I think my strategy so far of pairing some manga with novels has been working to keep my attention. That way I can ping pong back and forth. The last time I talked to y'all yesterday morning, I was standing at the total of 1874. I don't know why I can't just say the numbers. I think it's because I was raised in parts departments and auto parts industry, so I'm used to saying like the 2-digit numbers to put in part numbers. Like I used to help my mom with inventory and stuff when she ran the parts warehouse for dealerships. And you don't care about that. When I last left you yesterday morning, I was at 1,874. Last night, what I ended at was 2,225 pages. That's 190 from this, finishing this, and I also read 120 into You'd Look Better as a Ghost, but I didn't end up finishing it last night. I also read 25 in my short story from Near collection, 16 in my nonfiction Clash book, and that led me to the 2,200 total. As of this morning, I have officially finished You'd Look Better as a Ghost, which bumps me up 225 more pages, which is really fitting because yesterday's number, 2225, and then I only needed 225 more pages to finish this, and I did it this morning. Really satisfying for me. I also read my 10 pages that I was supposed to read this morning, and I listened to an equivalency of 19 pages from my audiobook while I was making breakfast. So far this morning, we are standing at 2,479 pages. Not bad. I was able to take some time off yesterday because I did so well the first day that I didn't really feel the need to like catch up because I was like, well, I'm like at 2,000, especially after finishing that first book. But today, I gotta get on the ball. This one was a reread for me, basically because I've read it, but it's been a while, and now that I have the other 4 or 3 with me that I'm gonna read to fulfill the coffin covers challenges, I wanted to catch back up to where I was, remind myself of where I was. It's really good. It's just a fun, light-hearted manga series in comparison to the usual stuff I read, like Dorohedoro or, Berserk. This is just a nice, palate cleanser. Yeah, it's very low-stakes time, but it's also well-developed. It's just fun. It's fluffy. I love the characters. These are actually 2 of my favorite characters, like the guard character. Shiryuki and Zen, the 2 main characters, they're cool. I like these 2, though. These are like the guards for Zen, the prince. I love them. He's hilarious. And you know me, I love a goofy golden retriever tough boy who is the comic relief. This was pretty good. This one pretty much follows the return of Zen's older brother, Prince Aizana, I believe that's how it's pronounced, and he's basically looks at Shiryuki and he's like, why are you here? Why do you deserve to be here? Why does my brother want to keep you around? Are you too engaged or something? And, shenanigans ensue whenever the guy who originally wanted to be betrothed to Shiryuki and tried to kidnap her with an apple shows up at the palace invited by his brother to be like, hey, take her home. And things do not go as planned, but things develop along there. Like I said, generally low stakes, easy to follow, just a good time, good palate cleanser for my brain. I need to move on to volume 4. But before I do that, I want to tell you the song I associate with this one, which is I know I'm gonna get hell for this. Barefoot Cinderella by Hannah Montana. Not Chey recommending a Hannah Montana song. I love Hannah Montana, and I will fight you over it. I thought Barefoot Cinderella was really fitting because Shiryuki is who she is. She's very much adamant about who she is. She's very confident in who she is, even though she doesn't fit into the royal palace, and they all try to give her hell about it, you know, because they're like, wait, what are you doing to belong here? What's your use? That's constantly repeated to her throughout with the older brother's returns. Like, what's your use here? What's your purpose? Why does he want you around? And she's like, I don't have to have a use. And this basically follows a big theme of her not having to justify her taking up space. She's there because she's like, hey, me and him really like each other. We have this bond. We have this connection. We're gonna maintain it. We're gonna do what it takes to, like, be in each other's lives just because we want to. We want to be in each other's lives. We want to be by each other's sides. That doesn't need any more justification than just our acceptance and our love of it. And I finally finished You'd Look Better as a Ghost. I liked it. It was a 4-star read, and I'll go ahead and tell you what my song is for this right now before I forget, which is, and I'll go ahead and tell you my song for this before I forget, which is The Night That the Lights Went Out in Georgia by Reba McEntire. And you might be like, because this book follows a female serial killer, okay? And you might be like, Chey, how does the Night That the Lights Went Out in Georgia fit this song? I can't tell you without spoilers, clearly, but considering that involves an old lady, secrets, an affair, and murder, I can't tell you how those things connect, but when you read this book, if you read this book, and you listen to that song, you'll be like, oh, I see. You will see. You will see. I'm pretty proud of myself for that connection. Overall, though, I really like this book. I was not prepared for the types of content warnings I found in this book. I mean, they're fine. I could handle them, but please check content warnings before you go to this book. You're like, Chey, it's a serial killer book. Of course. It's not that kind of content warning that I'm talking about. It's a rampant theme in here about elderly abuse and stuff like that. So if you're sensitive to anything involving elders, check content warnings anyway. But besides that, I like this book. She is an unlikable protagonist. She's meant to be. And I can see how a lot of people would be put off by her judgmental attitude, because she's constantly like, why do they do that? That's annoying. People are so ordinary. Their ordinariness. And I'm just like, girl, you are not better than anybody. Shut the f*** up. Like, I can see how people would be annoyed by that and be put off by that, but me, the person who inevitably loves villains, who loves the unlikable person because I find them so fascinating, I ate this up. And also, I think she's odd-coded. I think she is odd ADHD coded. The way that she has questions about everything, why does he feel the need to keep saying that? What does this, like, how long do I need to be here to constitute politeness? How long do I need to leave the silence hanging? Is it when she's sipping from her mug? When she puts her mug down? Questions like that I ask myself all the time. So, relatable content. In every other way, I'm like, I don't know if I should admit to that being relatable. But in that way, I didn't find it annoying. I liked it. But I can see how people would get pretty pissed off with the way that she views the world and kind of her uppityness in the way that she seems to present it. So just be warned, there's a lot of that in there if that's something that annoys you. But also, just remember, I don't think that you're meant to like her. I don't think that was the intention. So, if you don't like her, it's kind of doing its job, you know? I liked it, though. It was a good, fun, quick read. I devoured over 200 pages of it this morning. Yeah, it was good. I had a fun time. I'm glad that I picked it up. I'm glad that I got the recommendation from Jan, who got it recommended to her. Also, just unhinged females. I'm a female villain apologist. As for what I'm reading next, I'm gonna pick up a manga, probably continue reading my Near Short Stories collection, my nonfiction Clash book, and I'm also reading Christine, because I'm gonna finish that one today, because I only have 200 pages left. But I also need to work out, like a full workout sometime today. And I'm also listening to my audiobook, which I'll probably do later this evening. Got a lot of stuff, got a lot of pans and far, but it's working out. It's good. I think for my next manga, I think I'm just gonna pick up the next Snow White with the Red Hair volume just to continue on with that storyline. $24.79 is where we're at. We'll see where the end of the day takes us. My goodness, I'm coming. Grouchy old man. Good morning, friends. It is officially America Day, or the reason that England is going to work today, and we are not. I didn't check in last night, so I just want to make a quick checkup video to let you know where I ended the night off with, and I ended up, by the skin of my teeth, I ended up 3,011 pages because I read Sakura Taisen Volume 1. I don't like the way I said that. Sakura Taisen Volume 1. There we go. This is a series that I've owned since I was a child. I think it was the first ever manga that I, ever bought. And then as I've gotten older, I found it in my stuff, and I was like, I need to actually hunt down this series and read it, because I read it, cover to cover, constantly as a child. I was in love with it. It's what started my love for manga. And then Rave Master that I checked out from the library. I finally reread this for the first time as an adult, I believe, at least as old as I am now, that I can, as far back as I can remember. Apparently it's a very popular video game over in Japan, or it has been for a long time, and I don't know what came first, the manga or the video game. This is the only book that I finished yesterday, but I did get a lot of progress read in various books. What did I think of this? It's not that complicated. It's just a good book. It's just a good, fun time. We start off, it's what era is this in? Tokyo 1921. That's it. Literally says on the back, Chey. It takes place in Tokyo 1921 after something called the Demon War. Even though Japan is flourishing and prospering and stuff, they still sometimes are prone to attacks by demons and steam robots. And so we're following kind of two separate timelines. It starts out with us following Sakura fighting off a monster that appears in town, and then we switch over to the story of Ensign Ogami. That's his name. I just used the wrong vowel there. And follow his training, his graduation through the Naval Academy, and then his reassignment, his post-assignment to the Grand Imperial Theater. And he thinks it's a code name. Turns out, no, it's an actual theater, and he becomes a ticket taker. But we get hints along the way that everything is not as it seems, and he's being led to believe something else for the time being, and there's actually other plans that are actually going on, the fact that everyone else who works the theater is trained in martial arts and fighting skills and marksmanship and stuff. It doesn't take rocket science to understand what's happening in this series, but I love the art style. I think this art style, loving it as a child, definitely affected my subconsciousness into what I like in manga and stuff like that. I like looking into things like that. I think it's fascinating to think about what affects your subconscious and your taste and stuff growing up. This definitely did it, because I was looking at these panels and stuff, how the eyes are drawn, the facial expressions, and I was like, 5 out of 5 stars for me. Nostalgic, just a good, fun time. I love it. I own the next 3 in the series, so I'm planning on reading them for this challenge, but we will see. The song that I'm going to recommend for this book is Something's Gotta Give by All Time Low, because poor Ensign Ogami is just send me back to the Navy. I hate this. Please, literally anything besides being a ticket taker, please send me back to the Navy. Send me back to the Navy. So he feels like something's gotta give. And it's just a bop. That's where we stand. I plan on finishing a couple books today that I am on. Famous last words. I'm 100 pages into Done and Dusted, so I will probably end up finishing this one today. It is the 4th, though. My parents are here. My cousin down the road is having a cookout, so we'll see how much I get done today. Just kidding. You thought you were gonna see me tonight? No, you're already seeing me again. Aren't you happy too? It's okay. You can tell me the truth. Well, I figured I'd go ahead and update you. Thank you, laptop. I finished The Har this morning. I know I'm butchering that pronunciation, Scottish people. I'm sorry. My heritage. This is my heritage right here. But I finished this morning. I got to page 136 in it last night, and it was so good. I was loving it, but I'm prone to nightmares, and scary stuff doesn't usually give me nightmares, but the descriptions and everything in here was so graphic that I was like, I don't want to tempt fate. I don't want to add fuel to the fire. So I saved it for this morning, because I knew I would also devour it this morning, and I devoured the rest of it while I was on a sprint with my friend Ken's. And also, yes, I dog-eared the pages. Do not come for me. I dog-eared every moment that there was a description that made me literally, audibly, go, This is 5 stars. I only had 73 pages left to read this morning, and I want you to, before I get to my review, I want you to prepare yourself for the songs that I have to recommend, because there's 4. But stick with me, because 2 of them are video game soundtrack songs, so... Sorry, 3 of them are. The first one that came to my mind automatically when I'm like, what song makes me think of this book? Bad Moon Rising by Creedence Clearwater Revival. Then the 3 video game soundtracks, or the instrumental tracks if you want to put it that way. Voice Calling from the Darkness from Breath of Fire 2. That's an absolute fire soundtrack, no pun intended, but that song, just the hauntingness of it, it's amazing. Then the next 2 recommendations that I have are from my other favorite video game franchise soundtrack, which is Shadow Lord and The Dark Colossus Destroys All from Nier, the Nier soundtrack. All 4 of those, absolute bangers. Should I make a playlist of all these songs and then put it in the description for this video? I might do that. That'd be kind of sick. I'm gonna do that. I already have like a billion playlists anyway. Good job, Chey. So, what do I think of this book? I love it. 5 freaking stars. Yes, there were moments that made me go like, but like in a good way, where I was like, oh my god, it's so descriptive. This is my first book by this author, but I'm gonna read Maggie's Grave next because I'm intrigued now. The respect, the love for nature. Listen, as someone who lives in the backwoods of deep Tennessee, in Middle Tennessee, where we are being flooded with Californians by the hundreds who are buying up these 120-acre farms and then splitting them into god-awful subdivisions of McMansions, I felt this in my soul. Muriel's anger was palpable to me, and I was like, yes, get 'em, girl. Like, I was living vicariously, like, through her in the way that she was, like, standing up to things and not taking any crap lightly, you know? I was hooked from the first page. I was like, I love her. The writing was amazing. It was so engaging. I just had a great time with this. It was so much fun all along the way. I never knew quite what was gonna happen next, at every point where I was like, maybe that couldn't happen. It happened. Or, like, something even worse happened. Obviously, check content warnings, as always. This is horror. Please check content warnings before you dive into this. It is very graphic. It is gory. Just saying, if you're new to horror, maybe don't start with this. It's very graphic in its descriptions of body horror and, you know, fights and stuff like that, so. It's so good. It just, no pun intended, devoured me, and I devoured it. Muriel was so real, the struggles were so real, and I mean that in a significant way, not just like, the struggle is real, fam. Every emotion was palpable and just hit right in my soul. Maybe I'm a little bit too close, too biased to the situation, but that just made it hit harder. I'm so happy this was randomly recommended to me on Amazon, and then I just picked it up. Or, no, sorry, I got gifted, this was one of my books that got gifted to me off my wishlist for my birthday by M. I believe it was M. Yes, it was M. Thank you, M. Good morning. Here we are again. I am just gonna get rid of the expectation that I'm gonna give you a nightly wrap up because it doesn't seem like it's ever gonna happen. And also, last night was the first night in this challenge. Besides, well, I was gonna say this is the first night. Last night was the first night that I had made it to like the next benchmark, 4K, which I should be on starting today if I'm on track. But then again, I read more than 1K on the first day. I read 1,600, so I didn't have to. The point is that I didn't reach the goal for yesterday. I ended up only reading 3,777. Yesterday was July 4th, so I was gone to some family things, so I really caught into my reading time, but that's okay. That's fine. Today's a perfectly rainy day. It is thunderstorming outside. The only B-roll I'll put in, some of it, is some of the thunderstorm this morning. Yesterday, regardless of whether I hit 4K or not, was a good day for me, because, number one, I finished 3 books, but also I finally finished Christine. I've been reading this for so long. In fact, let me go look at how long I've been reading Christine, and while I'm doing that, I'll tell you about other things. So I also finished Done and Dusted. I read this in like 2 days? And then last night, right before I went to bed, me and Ken's hopped on some sprints with each other, and I finished Obey Me Volume 2 from the comic. Obey Me the Comic Volume 2? Speak, Chey. According to Goodreads, I've been reading this since February, which sounds about right. It is a chonker, though. It is a chonker, so to be on there since February, it's still too long. It felt so good to finally finish this thing and get it off my TBR. Christine is one of those movies that I grew up with watching a lot, usually come Halloween. And I thought, like, when I saw this book, I was like, I've never read the book. I want to read the book. And now I need to watch the movie because I want to see how it translates. I'm not expecting it to be a perfect translation or anything, but I'm just curious how much, like, the childhood Christine that I grew up with matches up to this now that this is fresh in my brain. Overall, I gave this a 4-star. Again, Stephen King's writing is really great sometimes to me. The way that he's able to describe certain emotions or action scenes or horror scenes, things that are happening in the moment, I really, really enjoy. Talking about certain things like the sound of a thud of a grain sack. Listen, I'm a big Vonnegut girly, so any kind of out-of-the-box-ish descriptors or verbiage or anything like that, I'm a big fan of. So whenever Stephen King is great at doing that in particularly scary or action-filled scenes, and so I really appreciate that. I really liked it. It had me hooked the entire time. I would have trouble getting into this book because it's such a chunker, and I'm like, oh, I have this much left to go. But whenever I did start reading it, I would find myself reading more than I expected to whenever I picked it up. It is just devourable. But the whole time I was thinking like, I think I might like From a Buick 8 better. I don't quite remember. I really, really liked From a Buick 8. I can't tell if this would be just below it or if it would be tied with it. I don't quite know. The song that I'm going to recommend for this book is Brick Wall by A Day to Remember. Namely, a lot of themes in the lyrics that match up with this. What doesn't kill you will only find another way. Saddle up because we're headed for the brick wall, which kind of basically describes what Dennis and the other main characters of the book are feeling whenever they are finally going up against the big bad, as well as various other things. And also the progression of the music throughout into that breakdown, I think would be... I was gonna say it would be perfect for an MV edit of the final battle scene. You get it. You get it. This is actually the first book I finished yesterday, but I just wanted to talk about Christine first. So I finished Done and Dusted. I gave this a 4-star. I really, really liked it. Or did I get I think I gave this a 5-star. What did I give this? What did I give this? I don't even remember. You wanna take a ride, you're 9. I gave this a 5-star. Maybe my brain is like, no, you need to give it a 4-star subconsciously. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you the songs that I recommend for this one are The Get Up by Blanco Brown and also Forever After All by Luke Combs. I really enjoyed the discussions around ADHD and anxiety. I felt that Emmy was looking right into my brain. A lot of the ways that she ponders things or processes things, especially in social interactions when she's like, oh, this person does it like because of this or like this, I'm like, yep. That is exactly what the inside of my brain looks like. When I was reading that stuff, it actually reminded me of a message I sent to my friend one time, where it was basically just a string of consciousness, like actually writing out like my thought process of what I was thinking about certain interactions that I had had, and he was like, do you actually think like that? And I was like, yeah, because it wasn't like problematic or anything. He was just like, that's a lot of like introspection of like asking questions and like rationalizing and breaking things down like step by step. And I'm like, welcome to my brain. And so I felt seen, I felt validated. This was funny, this was wholesome in a lot of ways. This book was just really great. It was a balm for my southern soul. I know I'm not from Wyoming and Montana and that region, but there's a lot that just translates universally in, I was gonna say Southern Coat, but they're not Southern. Cowboy culture. What kind of really sold me on this book is when she first comes home and she hears a bang on her truck and it's her brother like banging his fist on like the hood of the truck, and I'm like, that is a very like southern cowboy culture thing to do. Like we did that all the time, and that is such a small detail to include, but it really sold the atmosphere for me because I was like, yeah, that's something that I grew up with like family members doing. And it may not be that impressive to other people, okay, but I was happy to see it. I was like, all right, legit. You got me. I'm sold. I am immersed in the atmosphere because I'm like, that could have been one of my uncles, you know? The family dynamics, I love. The characters, I love. I really related a lot to it. I enjoyed it. Obey Me, the comic volume 2. I'm not gonna get into how much this is a hyperfixation that has been running through my brain for like the past 3 to 4 years. Obey Me is a mobile game that has a storyline, and they've recently started making a manga or a comic version of it, and this is volume 2. I gave this a 4-star. I have competing opinions about it, and I will just say this. They're supposed to follow the lessons. The storyline in the game, in the mobile game, are called like lessons. They're split up into chapters, lessons. That's what the chapters in this manga are supposed to be, or in this comic are supposed to be. I don't know why they call it a comic. It's a manga. Whatever. The chapters in this are divided up like the game. They're supposed to be following each lesson, which, cool, whatever. Thing is that they don't. I'm reading through this, I'm like, this is not what happened. Like, you're getting to the same end result, but the storyline, the process of how we got there is not the same. And I won't tell you anything specific in case you want to play the game and find out for yourself, but I like the game much more. I was like, this is such a basic, like, some of the... Listen, alright, I am gonna go on a rampage for a little bit. I'll just say this. With when you make a pact with Satan, and other things said in Chey videos, the lesson where you make a pact with Satan is so much more heartfelt and so much more in-depth, or like the whole chapter thing is so much more in-depth, and just the storyline just rips at your heartstrings, and it is an in-depth look into human/demon emotion and interpretations of it, and family trauma, and this whole psychological thing that has heart and has soul in it. And in here, the way that they go about it is just like, let's recreate a family photo and try and make Lucifer and Satan friends again. And then, like, when that fails and you make them talk it out for like 10 seconds because Lucifer saves a cat, and Satan is like, oh, I'm not so mad anymore, and then Satan gives you, the MC, like, their pact. And I also understand that they're not trying to follow the lesson word for word. I also understand that they are only limited to so much paid space, to so much. I get it. I don't know how to feel about it, because I'm like, I don't want to hold it to the strict interpretation that it has to be copying page for page from the game. And that's why it's still 4-star, because I'm taking it as kind of its own, like, I'm taking it as like an AU of the main game. That's what I'm taking it as. Also, the thing that I have a big contention point with in here, Lucifer and Solomon are friendly? No ma'am. No ma'am. Lucifer cannot stand Solomon in the game. What are you talking about? He can't stand him. Solomon's always like, I want your pact, and Lucifer's like, I can hate you. And then you're telling me in here that Solomon is in Lucifer's office talking about, like, oh, it was on purpose, and blah, 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 blah. They hate, like, he can't stand Solomon. Why is he there? That makes no sense. I might knock this down to a 3-star, because that just makes me upset. Taking it as its own, taking it as, like, an AU type of thing, though, I did really enjoy it. It's really funny. It has the brothers' personalities that I love. It's just that the story, I feel like, is milked down from what it is in the game, and it's made to be, like, more lighthearted. And it still has the same lessons, it still has the same lessons, if you will. Like, it has the same point, the same overall theme, and the same ending. It just, the way that we get there is different. And I feel like doing that really just waters or milks it down from what it is, the way it's presented in the original game. Nani? But it is good, it is funny. It is just a light, good time. So I would recommend the comic series to you, but I would also recommend the actual game. The songs that I'm gonna choose: Hang You From the Heavens by The Dead Weather, Square Hammer by Ghost, and then one of their songs, It's My Party by the Obey Me Boys. Okay, I'm gonna get started on my short story collection and I think finish my audiobook, because I only have like 2.5 hours left on it. So, what's up? I'm not even going to care about this angle because that's how quick it's going to be. So I'm reading BJ Alex, and I'm going by Goodreads. I don't have the physical copies, I'm reading it online, but I'm going by what the chapters are divided into the physical editions, because, listen, I read webtoons and webcomics all the time, and I'm like, I'll be gosh darn if these don't count for the pages that I read, because they are pages, and it's reading. So I googled what chapters are in what physical editions, and I'm transferring them over to Goodreads and going by that page count, but I also am correlating it with the page count on the website. It seems to even out, so that's what I'm going by. I finished volumes 5 and 6. I'm also going to think of a song later for both of them. Actually, that's a lie. I do know what one of the songs for one of them is going to be, and it's going to be Don't You Want Me. Real quick review of both of them. They're pretty heavy into the series, like leaning into the latter half of it, so I don't want to go too much into it. I'm enjoying it. I like characters like the unlikable characters, as we have discussed, so I don't find Alex someone to emulate, but it's nice to actually get into more of Alex's background to see more of his development, because I don't think that I don't want to say that people don't understand, but I like having an unlikable character, even all the way through. I mean, look at Jorgancraft. I freaking love Jorgancraft. But I think it makes the character development throughout the series, if there is any, a lot more interesting to look at the end if you have something so unlikable at the beginning, and then at the end, maybe they haven't changed a ton, but like you have more context and more understanding into why they do what they do, or how they do what they do, and you find yourself being like, oh, wait a minute, hold on, I don't, like, hate them anymore. I still don't like them, but like, when did this happen? Or, you know, like, they do little things and you're like, oh my gosh, they developed, and I find that so masterful, and I love it, and I think we're starting to see that here in these volumes. It's cool to get more of Alex's backstory and why he is the way that he is, and why he makes the terrible choices that he does, you know? And also just see more development all around. So I'm really liking it. The art style is beautiful, in my opinion. And yeah, I'm just having a good time. I will probably finish it today. I don't know. Maybe not. I may save it for tomorrow. And I'm not even gonna lie, it feels a little bit like cheating, considering that, like, these physical volumes are supposedly, like, as I was about to say before my storage so rudely cut me off, it feels a little bit like cheating, because I'm like, this is 300 pages, but also it literally is. It's the same format as, like, a manga, just online. It's a webcomic, whatever. I'm too tired to think of the proper terminology. I'm sorry. I think I rated Volume 5 4 stars, and then Volume 6 5 stars, I think. Doing well so far. We are up to 4,200 and something. Update you with the next book. Bye. Good afternoon to everyone except that guy who decided to come down the road at this exact time. Good afternoon, and it is the afternoon. I finished yet another book. I finished Paddle Your Own Canoe by Nick Offerman. It was good. I did like it. I did really enjoy it. It was fun to learn a bunch of new stuff about one of my favorite characters in the TV show, like the background of the person playing them, and like actually learn about them. I'm just constantly so fascinated by people and like their backgrounds and what shaped them to be the people they are. It's probably why I became a history major, Nerd. We get it. Anyway, it was a good time. I really enjoyed it. It was a really easy listen, relatively short too, only like almost 11 hours, 10 hours, 50 minutes. And just a really good, fun time. The whole journey that he's had is crazy. And all the stories that he had and the lessons learned along the way. I grew up in a very similar, somewhat background, just in a different regional area. And so it was nice to be like, yeah, interesting, The song that I'm going to recommend for it is Take Me Home Country Roads. I don't think I need to explain that one to you. And I'm not going to. I'm just enjoying sitting outside in the weather before I go in and work out, because I haven't been outside at all today, and it was storming for like 6 hours this morning. So that sucked. I mean, it was kind of nice because it means that I got a lot of reading done and junk like that. But now I'm like, it's sunshine. I'm Sunshine Girl. Hi, new here. I'm Sunshine Girl. If it's sunny outside and I don't get at least 5 minutes of sunshine, I will perish. I will. So I have to sit in direct sunlight for at least a significant portion amount of time in order to be happy and to continue on with my day. Been a good day so far. Once I get this workout out of the way, I will be able to, I'm gonna plow through some books today. I really am. Since we're at the midway point of this challenge, I figured I'd give a mini reflection, if you will. I'm supposed to hit 5K today. Currently, can I help you? I am supposed to hit 5K today, because we were halfway through this challenge, and I'm currently like 4,300, almost 4,400, which seems kind of daunting, but I also look at that and I'm like, Chey, I've almost read like 5,000 pages in 5 days. Now, granted, I've carved out time to be like, this is my main focus for the past few days, but it really is showing me that I'm reading more than I thought capable of in a certain amount of time, and able to do more than I thought I was going to be able to do when I actually, surprisingly make time for it. It's not that I make time for it, it's just that, like, I do have the time for it. And, like, this is my soul-minded project focus for right now. So, of course, it's taking precedent in my ADHD hyper-focus, Yay! Also, the wind probably sounds horrible in this audio. I'm sorry, fam. Yo. But I'm feeling pretty good about it. I'm excited to get back to other projects that I have. I'm excited to get back to other videos and scripts. And honestly, it's really, really motivating me to get to make those other videos and those scripts. I've been in a slump for a while. I've been in a slog because one of my projects I was super proud of and excited for, I ended up basically having to scrap because I was an idiot and accidentally deleted half the footage. So I've been in a slump and a slog since then, because I'm like, well, I can't move on to my other ones if I can't finish this one, but I want to wrap this one up neatly as I can, and I can't. Or at least I can't yet. Even making the intro to this video, which, by the way, I'm very proud of, it just got my creative juices flowing again, and inspired me and excited me to make more videos like this again. Not necessarily reading videos, but just original kind of challenges like this, and just have freaking fun with it. You know what I mean? Activated. Whoa, big boy! Whoa, big boy! Whoa, big boy! Hello? He's probably very confused. I'm waving my hand behind my head. That's a big boy! I get excited by big trucks. And I get excited by video ideas. So, yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to getting my creative juices flowing again, because there's so much stuff I want to make. Challenges, but also a lot of original stuff. Like I said, scripting and stuff like that. I just have so many ideas. And it feels good to be back in the flow of it again. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. It feels good to be back in the flow and to get things going. It's just where everything feels right. I don't even like saying I make content creation, because I don't make content creation. I'm a motherfucking artist, okay? You look at this and you're like, this is art. It is. It is. And I plan on actually making like more original art and stuff like that. But it feels good to be back into being motivated to do it and feeling like I can do it. It's even more than being motivated. It's being encouraged and being inspired to be like, yes, I can do this. This is possible. Maybe not in the way that I first expect, but like it's showing me that, hey, again, we've done it before. We can do it again. We just got to figure out a new way to do it, just a new method. Yeah, I'd say encouraging is the better word. And I'm excited. I have a lot of stuff planned, a lot of stuff to come your way, whether you like it or not. But I would very much appreciate it if you stuck around. I would love if you subscribed and stuck around for the chaos and hung around and saw what all I get up to. In fact, I have an incentive for you. Incentive? That's not a word. But I do have someone who would like to say hello to you. Stormy, how are you feeling? Do you feel like being sociable? Feel like saying hello to the people? Where's my food, mother? I just gave you your food. He's my grumpy old man. And I love him very much. Storm. What? He's stomping his foot at me. There you go. There's my big baby. Hey, big baby. No, you can't eat my stomach. That's not allowed. Here, this way is much easier. Here you go. You big baby. Big baby boy. Big handsome grouchy man. I'll find you some clover or something. How about that? Anyway, as I was saying, I hope you do stick around. Because I plan on making videos for a long time. And I have a lot more to make. A lot more ideas to come around, to get in my head, to worm their way into my reality. And then to firmly plop and wiggle their way into yours. I have a lot more ideas coming around. I have a lot more ideas currently in the works that I'm excited for. This one is the current one though. This one may not be the super original kind of ideas that I'm planning on, but it is something that I want to do and something that I'm excited for and something that I can't wait to see how it fully turns out. So, I would say take a shot every time I say so, but you wouldn't make it out of this video. Stormy is just standing there, staring at me, menacingly. I don't know if you can see him from this angle. He's just right there. Now he turned his head away. Don't look away. Oh, now you're looking every direction but me. I love you. There you go. I love you. The only man in my life. I'm gonna sit here in the sun for a little bit more, and then I'm gonna go inside, do my workout, and probably get started on a novel or a manga. I haven't decided yet. But I will talk to you the next time that I finish one. For now, deuces. I hated that I just did that. Let's redo that. But for now, I'll see you until then.
Hi, would you like to do goods? I don't know how to be human. I really don't. Why would I scream? That's got goods. Your twin is here. Hello. You got it. Hope you know. Your clone is right back there. Thank you. I'm in love. Not like that. I would blow her up with my laser beams if she ever dared to purchase less than my minimum. But I love her nonetheless.
It is the 6th, which means I need to hit 6K pages tonight. Last night I didn't end up making another update because, like I said, I should just give up on making the late night updates because it doesn't seem like it's gonna happen. I'm always usually, so far I've just been so tired at the end of the day, so mentally drained from reading that I'm just like, I can't. But by the skin of my teeth, once again, I managed to peak over 5,000 pages last night. I ended up on 5,022 pages. So last time I talked to you was when I had just finished BJ Alex 5 and BJ Alex 6, and then also Paddle Your Own Canoe, the memoir. After that, I finished 2 manga later that night. I finished ID Invaded Break Broken number 2, and I finished Snow White with the Red Hair volume 4. Both really great. 5 stars, both of them. Actually, ID Invaded is 6 stars. and I will talk about why in a second. So it was getting late last night, and I was still 300 pages shy of the goal, and I was like, I want it, but do I read 2 more manga, or do I read another BJ Alex? And it turned out the next few chapters of BJ Alex that I had to read to make up, like, the next physical volume. The physical volume ended up being 316 pages, and I only had 5 chapters to read online before, like, I hit the amount of chapters that were in the book, and I was like, I'm gonna read those 5 more chapters, and then I can mark this volume as read and hit my 300 pages all in one go. So that's what I ended up doing. BJ number 7. BJ Alex Volume 7. Talk about Snow White with the Red Hair, Volume 4 first. So this is following more along the relationship development between the characters, and we finally get some more backstory on my boy Mitsuhide. I love him so much. He's the one that I was telling y'all is just, like, my favorite in this series, besides, like, the main characters. Actually, I like him even more than the main characters. We get some background on how he came to be Prince Zen's aide, his, like, guard, and their relationship development. We get to see more into Zen's background of why he can't get close to people as a prince, or, like, why he's very untrusting, as, you know, a person in his position kind of has to be, and, like, the harsh lesson that he learned to really ingrain that in his mind. And we also get more of a look into him and Shiroyuki's development of their relationship and their bond, and just the power of their connection. And also we have a little bit of fun along the way, little goofs and gaffs with the group. But it's really looking into the background of how we got to where we are now and why that's so important, and also the strength of what is happening now and setting the groundwork for things to come. When again, we're probably going to look back on this and be like, okay, this is where it started, this is what we're going to have to lean on when things get difficult, you know? But it's important context to go back and look at when Mitsuhide was first beginning to guard Zen, because that's when Zen had the harsh lesson of, like, hey, you can't just trust anybody, not just everybody who says they're your friend wants to be your friend or is actually your friend. Because him opening up to Shiroyuki is Mitsuhide being like, look at him, he's grown up, like, and he's learning these lessons. He's learning that he can trust, it's just, like, he has to go about it a different way. Loved it, really enjoyed it, it was just a good time. I love it, and I also love Obi. Obi and Mitsuhide are, like, my favorites. I'll tell you about the songs later because I'm kind of short on time right now. ID Invaded Break Broken Volume 2. ID Invaded is one of my favorite anime of all time, and I'm really upset that they're not making Season 2 so far. They're like, yeah, we're making Season 2. Where? That news came out in 2022. I think. Maybe it was even 2021. Where is it? Instead, we just have 3 manga volumes. Just 3, by the way. Just 3. The first volume of Break Broken was pretty good. This one, 6 freaking stars. 6 stars. And it's mainly because of just a section, like 1 chapter. It was going to be a 5-star, but the 6-star, we're getting deeper and deeper into the case, into the possible killers that are behind this, and just the puzzle twists and turns that keep you on the edge of your seat in this volume. That's one thing I love about ID Invaded, is it gives you enough to latch onto to be like, wait, I think I'm starting to figure it out, and then it just, like, throws in a new element that you're like, wait, I'm confused, wait, brain, math, and I feel like that one gif of the lady who's just like, you know, it always keeps me guessing. I can never quite figure it out. It lets you get, like, right to the edge of it, and it feeds you just enough to then when you're like, wait a minute, wait, whoa, okay, wait, huh? And I love that stuff, and that's what this is doing. Like, it's giving enough, and then it's just throwing more in there, and it's throwing curveballs in a way that you're like, okay, going this way, like... I love Hisago. He's my favorite. Sakaido is my favorite too. Sakaido... So if you don't know what ID Invaded is, ID Invaded basically follows these futuristic kind of dystopian homicide detectives. They have this device called the Wakamasubi, I believe that's how it's pronounced. It can basically pick up particles detecting the intent to kill or the intent to murder. And so when there's been a homicide, they go to the crime scene and they're able to pick up the particles that are there at the crime scene, and then they reconstruct this consciousness of the killer with this thing called the ID well, or the id well. And then they send in a brilliant detective into the consciousness, and it replicates, like, the killer's mind, along with, like, all the data that are represented in a sort of, like, metaphorical way. And so the brilliant detective has to, like, piece together clues and, like, get data and send it back to the detectives on the other side so that they can, like, figure out, you know, who the killer is and how the killing happened and stuff like that. It's crazy. I love it. If you want, like, a futuristic, like, Sherlock Holmes, but also, like, Breaking Bad-ish type story, I recommend it. But this volume, We're delving deeper and deeper into the current investigation, and it's just throwing us every single direction, and it's getting deeper. But listen, the moment that Sakaido went into the well, and I'm gonna put a spoiler alert right here because I need to talk about this. When Neo Hisago went into the well as Sakaido when they were reconstructing that other one, and he was like, "Oh, Kaido-chan was hiding the other body," and as he's pulling it out, and one of the cops is like, I'm forgetting his name right now, but he's like, "Extract him! Get him out right now!" And they're like, What's going on?" And he's like, "That's Sakaido's old apartment. Get him the f out now. That's Neo Hisago's old apartment." So, also I should explain that whenever the detectives go in the well, they take on a different identity. So Sakaido is Neo Hisago, but he's Sakaido in the well. He's like, "Get Neo Hisago out right now." Like, that's his old apartment where his wife and daughter were. Anyway, and so they extract him, but it's too late. Like, he's already seen it, he's just, like, shell-shocked. And I'm like, oh, that's not good, because here's a secret. To go into the Idwell, you have to have killed someone. And he used to be a cop, and you're like, oh, well, it's a cop. It's not. No. It has to be, like, cold-blooded, like, killing to be able to go in there. And his wife and daughter were, like, taken out by, like, a killer, a cop. And so he went and exacted revenge. And there's a point where he goes to the hospital and he's facing off against somebody. Like, he's taking revenge in a different way after escaping from a certain thing. I'm leaving it specifically vague to not give too many spoilers, because I want this to be the safe section. But there's the point where I'm like, why is he doing this? Like, isn't he taking it out on the wrong person? But then it hit me, like, there's the guy, like, fights him, and the second he does, Hisago is like, "There you go." And I'm like, because I realized you're doing it so that they can pick up on the particles with the intent to kill from this guy. You're not actually wanting to hurt it. I got... Smart, genius. I love him. I love this. It was a great time. 6 stars. I really, really want to know how this is going to end up, where it's going. One of the devices got stolen from one of the crime scenes, and that means they ended up and used it and went to his old apartment to set up a crime scene with the intent to kill, because they knew they would recreate the Idwell and see it, and, like, it was like a calling card to him, like, being like, hey, mocking, you know? So that made it so much more interesting, and I'm very excited. BJ Alex number 7. I really enjoyed these 10 volumes. We get more into the inside of the relationship between the two. It's really, really sweet to see how it's growing, and also the insecurities that are still there, but how they're being developed and worked on, especially in, like, a fresh, new relationship. People who are different in a lot of ways of personality, but so similar, especially when one person was more similar to this person, but then things happened to them in life that changed them into the way that they are now, and to see them reaching back into those old parts of themselves and tapping into that and becoming the person that they want to be or have always been but had to change because of certain circumstances, and how love is a powerful force. It's not really too on the plot heavy right now, which is fine with me. It's more just developing and working along and sowing seeds here and there, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the slice of life elements of it, and it's still just as funny as ever. It's a good time. It's getting close to the end, which is sad. But we still got enough to where, like, there's gonna be a big plot point that happens. We've got 20-something more chapters, so I'm excited. Now that I'm halfway through the challenge, how do I feel? Surprised. I'm surprised that I've made it this far. And yes, it's been a struggle some nights, but now the weekend is here, and I also worked out yesterday, so that took up like 3 hours of my time. But now that the weekend's here, I have a lot more time, a lot more excitement. I can't believe I read 5,000 in 5 days. Like, it really is just showing me that I can do more than what I'm capable of, what I thought I was capable of. And I don't know whether to be harsher on myself in the future, or just to be like, hey, just use it as a reminder for, like, hey, you can do more. Maybe not hold it against myself, but being like, hey, we've done this before. You're fine. Like, it's fine. We can do this, you know? And I'm still actually having a good time. Like, at some points it's still stressful, but also it's a fun challenge. I love the dopamine challenge in my brain. Update time. Who likes update time? Me! I finished another book. I was packing up to come to my parents' house for a couple days, and I got on my iPad and I noticed that one of my holds in my library came in. It's called Louder Than Hunger by John Shu, I believe it's pronounced, but it's a book about a middle schooler named Jake who is dealing with a very intense eating disorder, and it's told in verse, it's told in poems, and writing style and all that, and I just finished it. I read it all in one sitting, non-stop. Fittingly, I just thought of the Hamilton song, and one of the things Jake loves more than anything is Broadway shows, so irony. Yay. Also, one of the quotes that's mentioned in the book, I was loading up Goodreads to talk, like, to update my reading status on it, and you know how, like, they have quotes and stuff? It was one of the quotes. It was, like, the quote on there. I was like, anyway, it's 7 out of 5 stars. I cried. I cried because it resonated a lot with me. I thought it was age appropriate. He's like 13, turns 14 within the book, and also age accurate, but also accurate enough and poignant and intricate enough that it can resonate with any age. Case in point, resonated with me and made me cry. I did. I teared up a lot, but then at the end, closer to the end, I eventually just broke down and cried a little bit. This book is so important. So important. Obviously, take care of yourself. Content warnings if you can't handle that type of reading, but I think this book is very important, and it's also, of course, it's like not super graphic or anything like that, but it does deal with some heavier subjects. But I think it's such an important book, and I think it would be so effective in schools, especially because it is age appropriate, but also age accurate. Like, Jake sounds like a 13-year-old, 13, 14-year-old. It's just, oh, it's so good. 7 out of 5 stars. I need to go buy a physical copy. But some great news as well. I won't talk too much more about it because it'll make me cry, it'll make me tear up. So some good news, besides it just being a great read, is that Goodreads only has the Kindle edition for like the ebook edition of it, and it says that it's 528 pages. Huh? My e-reader on my iPad for Libby said it was like 386. But since Goodreads, also I have my page size like adjusted, so it very well could be 528 pages. That's what I'm gonna go with, because I need the win here, and that's all that it is on Goodreads. That's like the only ebook edition that I saw. So, be that as it may, I am now up to 5,550 even pages. That's exciting. I'm very excited about that. I brought a bunch of books home with me to read over the weekend. We'll see how many I actually get through. But I could not wait on that. That was hold from the library. I'm so glad I didn't wait and I read it just in one go. Okay, I'm gonna get back to reading. Good morning. What's up? It is the morning of day 7, correct? I believe it's day 7. It sure feels like day 7. It's gotta be day 7. I ended up being able to surpass my goal last night of hitting 6K. I ended up hitting 6,191 pages last night. I'll tell you what was a big help was that 528 page Kindle book. That was such a good head start, and then throughout the day I just read various things. I read a lot in this book, which helped push it over, and then I finished Near Automata, the short story long, which helped tremendously because it was 200 something pages. I read this in one sitting. Well, I should say I read the first story to begin with, it was only 23 pages, and then I read the rest of it, 200 and something pages, in one sitting. Then, I also finished ID Invaded, Break Broken, Volume 3, the final volume in the series. I should talk about Near first, but I'll talk about this one first, because I want to get over what I have to say about it. It was good, but also I'm at the point in this challenge sometimes where I read late into the night, and I'm getting more and more tired, and my brain's getting more and more fatigued, and words are not really wording, they're not really making total sense. And this one just felt kind of disappointing in comparison to the rave reviews that I gave of Volume 2, because the way Volume 3 finished, I mean, it was great up until the end, and then it started getting, like, really choppy and a little bit convoluted, and also just hopping around, hop, skip, jumping around to, like, not even a conclusion, just, like, different points after certain things had happened, and I'm like, okay, so what's the end? Okay, so what's the conclusion here? Okay, so what are you doing about that? What, just like a lot of plot holes or a lot of things that were just like skipped over onto the next thing? Like there's a point where they bring Nira Hisago into the woman's like hospital room, like their suspect, and they show a picture of her, they're being like, yeah, we found it here. And it just shows a picture of her and they don't explain why. And then he's like, okay, so why did you want to see me? And we skip back to that subject and she asks him a question, but he doesn't answer it. And then like 2 pages later, the volume ends and it's like the end. And I'm like, bruh. So I don't know if it's just my tiredness. Like, here's the thing, because this series, like I said, is meant to be a mind bender anyway. It's meant to make you critically think. But even me in my tired state was like, the words aren't wording. the sense is not sensing. I'm gonna give this like a 3.5 star. It was a 5 star up until like the latter half, and then it lost me. It lost me. That's the other thing, is I think it's supposed to be more, because literally the last chapter is titled "To Be Continued." So I think the end just means like the end of like the manga volume or whatever, but there is no other volume after this, or at least it hasn't been printed yet to my knowledge. And so I'm just left with this like choppy ending, being like, okay, you say to be continued, but like you didn't finish explaining all the stuff that happened here. Like, so it makes sense that it would be continued, but also like I am confusion. I am confusion. You're gonna have to give me a minute to think about a song for this one. Editing Chey will put it in, because I'm getting behind on this song stuff. Actually, no, I'll tell you about it next time. I don't want to make myself come up with a song willy-nilly. Nier Automata, short story long. So this is a collection of various short stories about the game Nier, mainly taking place during Automatas. And yes, I am just gonna say Automata. Hi, if you're new here, the Nier series is my favorite video game series pretty much of all time. I love it. Some of my earliest videos on this channel were me staying up for 24 hours playing nothing but Nier. 24 hours of just straight playing Nier. I love this game. I love this universe. I love Taro. Yoko Taro is one of my favorite people on this planet. Just unhinged. I want to be like him. This was really fun. This was really good. Yoko Taro's story's in here. So it's written by Yoko Taro and Jun Eshima. I probably butchered that, and I am so sorry. Editing Chey will put in a correct pronunciation, because I'm sorry, and I will also put it in text. That way you can actually see how it's spelled. My pronunciation's horrible. But it's a collection of stories written by them. Yoko Taro is the director, creator of Nier, and he's only got 2 stories in this collection, but they're both excellent 5 stars. They both made me emotional, and I just loved them. They were great. I thought they were perfectly contained to the short story format that they were supposed to be, yet still got messages and fun and the proper emotions across that drew you into the story, but also let you back out of it without feeling like, wait, this should have been longer, or this should have been shorter. The other stories, also very good, very well written. I liked all of them. However, Memory Cage got me a little bit heated. I was not a fan of it. I was like, I hate this. The story was well written. I liked the writing style, but the story itself, I was like, no. But then I got to, ooh, that made my hair look good. But then I got to Memory Thorn, and Memory Thorn actually made me appreciate Memory Cage, because I was like, okay, that's what we're doing. Okay, and so they grew on me. The one, oh man, what was it? A Much Too Silent Sea was so good. The ending, this is the 46th time. Shut up. So Memory Cage and Memory Thorn were the ones that I had the most beef with at first, but then they grew on me. The last story, The Recollections of a Meal, destroyed me. I literally put in my Goodreads review the 3 words that ripped my still beating heart from my chest. Welcome back, Emil. The last 2 pages of this tore into my heart, okay? If you've played Nier, like, Gestalt and, like, Nier Automata, read Recollections of Emil, because it made me emotional. It made me want to, like, as soon as I stopped reading, I wanted to go play the game, because I was like, I love these characters, I love this universe. Perfect story to end the book on, especially if you love the universe, or even if you're new to the universe. It would probably make you want to find out more about it, so I love it. That, Small Flowers, and A Much Too Silent Sea might be my favorites. The Flame of Prometheus is pretty good too, but yeah, I'd say Small Flowers, A Much Too Silent Sea, and Recollections of a Meal, probably my favorites. Recollections of a Meal, yeah. I have been reading since this morning, so I ended off at 6,191 pages this morning. Also, sorry if you can hear my fan going. It's super hot. I'm at my parents' house, and we haven't turned on the air conditioner yet. So that's where I was at this morning, but I have been reading since this morning. I've been working on this dude, and I don't know, I have like almost less than 100 pages to go in it. I think I will definitely try to finish this one today. Don't know if I will, but I want to start several other books too. And it's funny because I look at this from where I left off in it last night and to where I'm going to finish today. I'm like, that would only be like 200 and something pages. Feels like a lot of work for not a lot of output. And so I think I'm going to go back to the strategy of reading about 50 pages in a big book and then like reading a manga and then reading 50 or like 100 more pages and then reading a manga. That way I can double up on them. Not quite sure about that yet though. Otherwise, it's going well. I'm surprisingly not in a slump yet. I'm having a good time, and I'm getting a lot of 5 stars. I'm getting a lot of 5 stars lately, not you. And I'm just having a good time. This made me emotional, and I'm upset. I'm gonna think about what songs I want to assign to those. Oh, I thought about the song for Louder Than Hunger. That song is gonna be Might Love Myself by Beartooth. Would you believe it? We're already at the end of another day, and I bet you're holding on to bated breath with what our total is. Calm down. In a surprising turn of events, I'm actually making a late night update. Who am I? What's wrong with me? I don't know, but I made over the 7K goal. I am currently standing at 7,028 pages. I'm proud of me, and it's just now 11 p.m. I stopped reading some time ago. I could read some more. I still have some energy left. I still have some juice going, but I'm just gonna get to bed and get some sleep. That way I can trudge on to 8K tomorrow. Still feeling good. Still feeling well. I should have updated when I finished some more books, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just do it all in one go. I'm gonna just do it all in one go. And I also finally came up with the songs that I forgot to tell you about last time, so let's go over those first. I decided that one song was not enough for the Near short stories, considering that this has several stories in it, and also just encompasses my favorite game series. So I didn't choose one song per story, but I did choose a selection of some of my favorite songs from the soundtracks of both games. By the way, I love the soundtracks of both games relentlessly, and I highly suggest that you go listen to both soundtracks of Nier Automata and Nier Gestalt, or Nier Replicant. I don't know what it's labeled on Spotify. It might be labeled as Nier Replicant, but the songs I'm going to recommend that came to me when thinking about this book, and also just some of my favorites, are Hill of Radiant Winds, Grandma, Kaine Salvation, and Forest Kingdom. On to ID Invaded Volume 3 Break Broken. I'm going to go with What Do You Want From Me by Bad Omens. And since we've last talked, I have finished a few more little guys. Well, actually, one big guy, 2 little guys. And I started progressing on another one, which I hope to finish tomorrow. The big guy that I finished was Between Two Fires. This is one that I've been working on since yesterday. I got about 200 pages in it last night, and then I read the rest today. But it only put me 234 pages ahead of my goal, which, after like hours of reading this, 234 felt like such a little reward for such a lot of work. But it was good work. Like, I rated this 5 stars. I had such a fun time with this, and by the way, the song that I'm going to recommend with this is obviously Rats by Ghost, because what else? It takes place during the plague in France. It's a medieval horror story, okay? I've never read anything like this. I don't think I will ever read anything like this ever again. It was just such a fun time, and I honestly could not put it down whenever I picked it up for a time. I was just like, nope, I want to go on to the next chapter. And chapters are relatively short. Obviously, check trigger warnings for this. It does get graphic a lot, and it has a lot of... It's basically surrounding a big religious theme, which, you know, considering the time period and all the theories surrounding the time and where the plague came from and stuff like that, the way that the story resolved itself made me happy. I fell in love with all the characters because there were certain plot themes in the way that characters developed. I screamed because they weren't shown, they were, what's that rule? Show don't tell or whatever, done masterfully. And the use of descriptions in here, first of all, graphic, second of all, genius. I dog-eared my pages, don't come for me. There's one thing that I have to talk about. I know you're probably sick to death of hearing me speak, but there's something that I need to share with you. So I'm a big writer. I love writing. Writing is my #1 hobby that I've been doing since I could hold a pencil, or even before I could speak. And there's an old adage about writing where it's like, if you want to discuss big ideas and big themes, you need to zoom in. So if you want to discuss war, you don't talk about like the strategy and like the overarching things of the war. You zoom in on like the impact of one town, and you talk about like a child's burned toy on the ground. The bigger you want to talk about, the smaller you need to go, and for the biggest impact. Because it's something relatable to your audience. It's something that's like a visceral reaction without being there for shock value. There's a perfect example in here. It's just a flashback that someone's having, and it says, "Now a man wearing the king's livery came and took his war horse, who was lathered in sweat and stooping his head, and his mild-mannered palfrey, who always did a side-to-side dance when he smelled lettuce. He never saw either horse ever again." That's all you need to say to make me cry like a... Who gave you the right? The audacity, the audacity, the genius, the heartbreak. I love this a lot. It's going to be one of my top books for now of 2024. I really, really enjoyed it and had a great time with it. It was just a fun time. And it's not lighthearted in the slightest, but the humor in here, the way that everything is like very well balanced, there's enough humor to drown out the dark moments, and there's enough graphic, vulgarity to really punch home the points, like I said, again, without being for shock value. And the way that the horror is done is something that I really enjoy, because it's enough to entrench you in the world, but not enough to be like, okay, this is campy. Since God had permitted the excommunication, he would earn it. Okay, 5 out of 5 stars. After counting those pages into the page count for today, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna read 2 manga, I'm gonna be easy on my brain, I'm just gonna have a good fun time. And so I read volumes 1 and 2 of Gangsta. I've already read volume 1, so this is a reread for me, but I first read it back in 2021, and this is the first time read of volume 2 for me. I have seen the anime years ago, like back when I was in college. Fun time. Let me tell you something that I did not realize. I did not realize how much I love this art style. Yes, I knew I loved it, but rereading volume 1, especially since it was a reread for me and just kind of a refresher and just a good time, I really took notice of the art style more in a second time around, because I, didn't have to be like, oh, plot. What I really love about this art style is the artist's attention to detail in the anatomy in motion. Like, if someone's like, scratching the back of their head, the way that their arm is moving and the detail paid attention to in like the shoulder and the neck, it just looks so fluid and so real, especially in little everyday moments like doing sit-ups or like, doing this, like scratching the back of the head. The attention to the anatomous detail, the intrinsic detail there, it gave me such a better appreciation for it. But I loved both of these volumes. These were a nice, good reprieve. Got me some action, got me some humor, got me some beautiful art. I highly recommend this series. Highly, highly, highly. If you're a big fan of like Boondock Saints or like Reservoir Dogs or any kind of like action anime manga, you'd probably like these. At least like check them out. Mafia style stuff. Even if you're a mafia romance girly, I don't know if you can handle these. That's not speaking against you. I'm just saying these are not mafia romances. That's what I meant by that. But the mafia elements. So you might like these. Maybe just branch out into mafia action instead of just mafia romance. You never know. I love Warwick and Nick. I love them so much. Also, their relationship with Nina, Dr. Theo's assistant. The relationship that Nina and Nick have, especially, makes my heart so happy. It makes my heart so freaking happy. But just the way that they treat her, just like their own daughter, like their own niece, it's found family without being campy about the found family. It really is just a group of people who like take care of each other and take care of their own and really look out for the community and just are diverse. By the way, the 2 guys I'm talking about, Warwick and Nick gives us some deaf representation. So if that also intrigues you for some different representation in your books, check them out. It's pretty cool. Some of my favorite running jokes are about him, like people thinking that like they're smarting off to him and like insulting him, and he's just like, and they're like, what? Are you an idiot? And then Warwick comes up and he's like, no, he can't hear you. And they're like, oh. And he'll like be trying to sign to them because the sign language is like a big theme in these books, obviously. And he's just like, it's great. It's great. They're a fun, funny time. They are heavy on the themes, but they are also hilarious. The songs I'm going to recommend for these, Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress by the Hollies, because of course, and then White Line Fever and Another Bottle Down by Asking Alexandria. For both of these. 8K. We're going to shoot for 8K tomorrow, baby. I feel like reading manga in between these big books is one of my only salvations to keep my brain from turning into total slush and leaking out of my eardrums. And though that would make great YouTube footage, wouldn't be totally sick for me, At least not sick in a good way. It'd be like sick in a sick way. Not in a sick way, but like in a sick way. And Chey's been up for too long. I guess I should go ahead and tell you what I'm reading, that way you can anticipate the next update. I said I wasn't going to, but I make the rules here. Screw what I said. I'm reading The Keeper of Night. No, I'm not. That's the first book. I'm reading The Empress of Time by Kylie Lee Baker. This is the second book in the duology, and I'm enjoying it so far. I am about halfway through it. I'm like 170 something pages in. It's only 400. I'm 182 pages in. Very well could finish this tomorrow. Probably will finish this tomorrow. If you're curious what bookmark I'm using, I am using Vegeta. Why? No particular reason. I just had him out. I haven't started anything else because I was like, I think that's the thing, is that I'm very bad about having several reads going on at once, which is why my current reads was so big and why one of the goals of this challenge was to have it. And so I don't want to bounce back and forth between several books because yes, I do. My dopamine wants me to start several of the books, and I have read a couple pages into various ones of them, but I know it's a trap. I know it's a trap because as soon as I do start reading into them, the dopamine's gonna wear off and I'm gonna feel intimidated by how much more I have left to go. And so I think the smart thing to do, as I've been doing, is just to keep it to 1 or 2 books at a time. Do shorter books in between so I can get that dopamine hit of like finishing automatically and getting those pages added to the total count while making slow but steady chipping away progress in books like these. Stacking up so much manga I feel like is somewhat cheating. I feel like it's the easier way out. I don't like it, so I am trying to read as much novelization as I can. I really am trying to, but to survive, it is survival. It is freaking survival, and I refuse to be defeated at this. I absolutely refuse. It is my survival instinct. It is my spite instinct. I'm gonna conquer this. I'm not just gonna conquer this 10K challenge. I'm gonna crush it underfoot like the bug that it is. I'm gonna have a good time. I'm gonna read a lot of good books. It'd be cool if I could read my entire stack that I had planned. I don't think that's gonna happen, but we're gonna keep whittling away at it. I'm ending off the night at 7,028. That's all that matters. Tomorrow's another day. We're gonna do this. It's gonna be great. I love you. I hope you're doing well. If you're still here in this video, thank you. I love you. You're the best. We're the best. Hell yeah. Good night. End of day 8. We are officially at 8,007 pages. It's not even 11 p.m. and we're past the 8K mark, which is nice. I mainly was only able to do it because of manga. At least it's done. We're one step closer to 10K. I'll go over which books I finish tomorrow morning. Right now, my eyes need to slumber. Good morning! Day 9! And we are currently sitting at 8,007 pages this morning. I read a bunch in several different books, including this one, this big Spriggan Deluxe Omnibus Edition, Volume 1, but I didn't finish it, so that's not one that we're going to be talking about. Hold your horses, but also be kind to them. You don't want them to get angry that you might be holding them too tight. The 3 that I finished: Sakura Tyson Volume 2, Snow White with the Red Hair Volume 5, 2 manga, no one is surprised. The really exciting one that I finished was The Empress of Time Volume, well, it's not a volume, by Kylie Lee Baker. This, I was gonna say, this is number 2 in the Keeper of Night duology, so that was one of my mini goals for this challenge. I know it's only a duology, but it feels good to finish a series again. It feels great. It feels nice. What songs did I say? I remember them from the top of my head. I had one yesterday that I thought was perfect, and then it has just flown the coop. It is no longer, it has gone to join the choir invisible. So I have thought up 3 more. I figured 3 might be more fitting because it kind of encompasses the series as a whole. Also, it's my rules. I'm gonna say All I Need to Know by Thousand Foot Crutch, FWYTYK by I Prevail, and then lastly but not leastly, Antihero by Taylor Swift. Those are the 3 that make me think of this book. And plus the one that is stone dead at the moment. I really liked it. Also, please forgive that my brain is turning to mush. I saw the twist at the end coming. I saw it coming. When there was a warning, and it's not really a spoiler because it's kind of vague. There's a warning where it's like, a person you travel with is not who they seem to be. I knew who it was. I knew who, like, the book was trying to lead me to believe it was. And I was like, no. I know who it is. And I was correct. So when that happened, I was just like, Yeah, I saw that coming. That doesn't mean that it still wasn't good. I really liked this book. It was a 4 out of 5 star for me. The series was. I'd say they're like 4.5-ish stars. The writing is gorgeous. I love Kylie Lee Baker's use of descriptive language, especially when it comes to emotions tied into physical feelings. Like whenever Ren may hit the ground like on her knees in like desperation, and it talks about feeling like sand is like pulling apart her ribs and sinking her like into the soil. Stuff like that where I'm like, yeah, it does feel like that. You right? You right, how you do that? The continued storyline was also pretty good. I liked the introduction of new characters. I love learning about the various yokai and just that perspective of the culture in general is really fun to learn about. Especially for someone like me who, you know, your girl loves demons. So anything I could learn about monsters or another culture in general, and if it involves monsters or demons, it's just bonus points. It was a fun time. It kind of felt like Avengers Assemble at the end, you know, but it was nice. I will say I'm a little bit surprised the final battle didn't last as long as it was, and also I felt her role in it like kind of confirmed her fears. Where it's like, yeah, it mostly wasn't you. I felt like I was not as impressed with her as I should have been in the final battle. It was really good though. I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed how the final battle turned out. I liked the end result of it. I liked that it all came down to between two people, and it was just like a thing between them, like as the battle started, and it so ended, but didn't end the way that either of them, you know, expected, but still a interesting and fair outcome nonetheless. So in general, I like the ending of this too. I like the way it wrapped the series up. It did not end exactly how I wanted it to, which, like, duh, Chey, the books usually never do. There's one element that I can't say, but I wanted it to happen, and when it didn't, I was like, that sucks. I got my perfect ending. I got the ending that I was hoping for, except for that one thing. But also, I'm not too mad about it, because, like, what ended up happening instead, I'm like, yeah, I can understand why. And also, it's open-ended enough to where I'm like, I can make up my own ending. This happens years later. But yeah, it was super good. It's just a really fun time. It's super quick, by the way. If you are thinking about getting into these books, I think I told Jan, I read both of these books, so The Keeper of Night and Empress of Time. When I read both books, I ended up reading most of them in a day. The Keeper of Night I read over some days, but then there was a point to where like I got like 100 or so pages in, and then I read the rest of it in one day. Same happened here. I think it was kind of pushed up because of this challenge, but I read like 180 pages one day, and then I read the rest of it yesterday. Like, they are just so easy to get into, so easy to binge. Highly recommend. Snow White with the Red Hair, Volume 5. 5 out of 5 stars. We get more Obi time. We get a little bit more Mitsuhide time. We get a little bit of action and adventure, and just overall more Raj, more shenanigans and adventure. And we have started a new storyline, a new arc, I should say, where Mahaya, is that, I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name, shows up. He's the guy that kidnapped her in Volume 1. Kidnapped. He's like, hey, I was on a ship once I got out of prison, and I heard that someone's looking for Little Red. You want to hire me? And Prince then is like, your face. He's like, well, I'm not going to tell you any more information unless you hire me. And Zen's like, well, I'm not going to hire you unless you give me more information. So they set about tracking down who is looking for her and why, but this invitation from the guy who wanted to use her as his concubine, the prince, which they're a whole convoluted thing, comes in the mail. They've made general peace with each other, come to like an understanding-ish. And he's like, hey, come to my palace. Like, you're invited, you're cordially, like, invited to my palace. And Zen's older brother is like, yeah, she's gonna go as a representative from us, and she better not disappoint. She's gonna have dancing lessons and manner lessons and everything. We get a little bit more insight into Zen's protectiveness. Okay, one thing that bothered me, whenever he was like, oh, she's not going alone, like, I'm sending her, like, an escort, I'm sending her a bodyguard with her to that country, he originally said Mitsuhide, and I was so excited to get some Mitsu and Shiryuki, like, dynamics, because they're always funny when they're together. And then he turns around, and apparently, like, he was gonna be going the entire time, because whenever, Mitsu and Kiki and Obi go to, like, check on him one night, and he's, like, sword practicing or whatever, Mitsu's like, yeah, he wants to go with her, but, like, he can't, you know, blah, blah, blah. And Obi's like, hey, spar me, and if I win, I get to go with her escort. Spoiler alert, he ends up getting to go with her. And I was like, but what happened to Mitsu? Like, are we gonna pretend like this never happened? Did I read that wrong? whatever. It ended up turning out great because we get more Obi time. Like I said, Obi is my second favorite character. He's a little shenanigan wrapped up in a character. He just is a shenanigan. Also get to see him in a uniform. His character design looks so good in an actual uniform. The heck. And the bonus chapter with Obi and Ryu at the end. Stop. My heart. But yeah, it was just nice to like start to get this new mystery of an arc of a storyline. And this new cast of, well, it's not really a new cast, but get a few new characters and get deeper into the dynamics, because like I said, it's been feeling like that we're setting the groundwork, which, I mean, makes sense, because it was only volume 4, the last one I read, we're only 4 volumes in. Now it feels like those bigger things are starting to build on that groundwork and starting to build up to stuff, which is cool. I love that. So I'm excited for Volume 6 and Volume 7. The songs that I chose for Snow White with the Red Hair Volume 5 are, I think one is Sails by the Home Team. Is that who it's by? I'm gonna Google it just to make sure. And I'm gonna be honest, the first song that I thought of when I was reading this is Take a Break from Hamilton. Because you have, like, Raj, who basically, you know what, no, I'm not gonna explain it, just Take a Break was the first thing that I thought of with this, and it doesn't match perfectly entirely, because, like, Shiryuki's not, like, overworking herself like Hamilton or anything, it's more of the angst and the love interest aspect and, like, the mystery and going away, you know? And there was another one that I thought would fit better, but once again, it has flown the clue. It is pushing up the daisies and going to join the quiet invisible. Sakura Tyson, Volume 2. Alright, we're kicking things off. Finally, we got some battle scenes. We got the first battle scene with Ogami. We got some theater action. We got a new character introduction. I like the way this is building on each other. I like the way these volumes are building on each other, the way the story is building. I still love the artwork. The artwork blows me away that I am so certain. I know I only owned Volume 1, like, as a kid, but I am so certain that, like, subconsciously, I read it so much and loved it so much that it has embedded itself in my brain as, like, subconsciously the type of art, like, manga art style that, like, I love, like, the details and the shadings and the ink tones and stuff like that. The songs that I recommend for this are Second Sucks by A Day to Remember, the music video version, and then Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. Originally it was going to be Brighton Rock, and then I was like, no, Brighton Rock fits something else. Like, Brighton Rock's a little bit too tension heavy, a little bit, like, crazy. I think Don't Stop Me Now still has, like, that kind of move and groove, but a little bit lighter tone, plus it has the piano bit, which is more like the synesthesia that I feel for the theater scenes, and the overall facade that is over the core of what's actually happening, which is kind of like in the song where it starts out with that, and then it gets to a more rocking, so it's kind of like a facade in and of itself, and then it brings the, you know, the rock to the surface. I enjoy seeing the battle scenes. We got to meet a new villain. We got to learn a little bit more about the villain's origins, as in the evil demons that are trying to rise up again. A little bit more world lore, which I always enjoy. But we also got a little bit of a mystery at the end of the battle scene, where even the villain was like, I thought that person was, like, gone. How is this power back? You know, which made me be like, we better learn more about that in the next volume, because I have questions. This morning, I'm going to start off reading my 10 pages, or else it's going to bother me all morning that I haven't. And then I'm going to finish reading Spriggan. I went on a book binge last night trying to finish the last couple hundred pages. I was 300 pages into this. Couple hundred pages of the challenge for last night, I should say. And I was like, you know what? There's no way I'm going to read 200 pages when it's 9 o'clock at night. My brain is mush. I basically, like, read somewhat this much of the omnibus just last night to be able to get to where I am in the challenge. Yeah, so I'm going to finish this one this morning and get another one out of the way. Then I will probably work on more of the short stories of Ernest Hemingway, finish 2 big boys in one day. I'm also reading Beartown. As for manga, and An Elderly Lady Must Not Be Crossed, I'll definitely finish that one today because I'm already 50-something pages into it. As for manga, I might continue on with Sakura Tyson, Volume 3, and then read a Snow White volume. And then I might read Ninth House. I've been itching to read Ninth House. I really want to try to read as much of my TBR that I had generally tentatively planned as possible. I really do. And I have so far. So far, I have finished 24 books. I've finished 26, but, like, started and finished 24. Which is sick. Sick AF. Okay, I'm gonna go I'm gonna sit here and drink my coffee, and I'm just gonna watch TV for a little bit. I know, blasphemous, but you're gonna have to deal with it. You don't have a choice, because this is my life, not yours. But you can hit the skip button. But don't, because I'm glad that you're still here. I'm gonna watch Roseanne for a little bit, drink my coffee, enjoy my coffee, and then I'll read. We are now at 8,217 because I sat down and basically, ew. I finished An Elderly Lady Must Not Be Crossed. Another series that I didn't realize I finished. Can it really be a series though if it's just a collection of short stories? I'm gonna say yes. Anyway, I finished it. It's 4 stars. It was really, really good. I love the first one. I know Jan didn't really like it. I love it though. It's just about a little old lady in Sweden who has a very suspicious past and has means of getting rid of people that happen to cross her or make her upset or, you know, betray her or something in some way. And these are the stories of the individuals that she comes across, and then by the time it's over, she will no longer, and no one else will ever come across them ever again.
The only thing is the time you spend with the people you love. And I don't want to spend any more time with you. I don't want anyone else to either, so I'm gonna get you.
This one more so follows a linear storyline of her going on a trip to South Africa. She loves South Africa, she loves to travel. And on her flight there, she's being reminded of some of her past crimes and thinking about them and thinking about the stories along the way. And then the last story is like when she actually gets to Africa and has like one last hurrah and starts putting her affairs in order for the future in a twist of fate event that I didn't see coming, but, you know, made me happy regardless with the resolution that it gave and the ending that it tied up, because it was just nice. It was a nice, like, after all the darkness and stuff like this, because she's very much like an anti-hero, you know? Wow, that lighting's disgusting. Better. After all that, like, darkness, it was just nice to have something more wholesome to wrap the book up with. It's just really sweet. I like the way that it all turned out. That being said, it was like I read like 197 pages in it, so not a bad start for the morning. And a nice little book, just a nice little dopamine hit of actually finishing the book. For the songs I'm going to recommend, I am going to recommend Shotgun by George Ezra, because it's vacation, poppy, like South Africa, you know, vacation kind of vibes, especially the sun. Then the second song I'm going to recommend is Dangerous by Rivals. I don't know what I'm going to do next. Probably just going to eat lunch next and rest my eyes for a little bit. I'm going to stay up late tonight reading, because I really want to get ahead for tomorrow. Tomorrow's the last day, and yeah. Okay, bye. Good afternoon. It is 2 o'clock in the afternoon of the last day, and waiting mode, I don't know what it is, it's really hitting hard, but I'm at 9,161, that's where I ended off last night. I read, in a panic, BJ Alex 8 and BJ Alex 9, which bumped me up significantly because they were about like 400 pages apiece, and then I ended up reading Snow White with the Red Hair Volume 6, and that pushed me over the top. Now I just have 900 or so pages to go, and waiting mode is just hitting hard, because I'm just like, oh, I want to do it, but also time is ticking down, but so I'm making this update just to get going, just to get started, and I am going to make my lunch, and I'm going to sit down and read. It's also because, like, my cousin texted me that, like, hey, you maybe want to come over? So I've been waiting on that, because I thought it was going to be sooner rather than later. Well, I've been reading here and there. I've been listening to Beartown on audiobook, but, like, okay, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to do the songs and the review and all that stuff later, because we're near the end and to the final update anyway. Okay, bye! Y'all, it's over. It's past midnight. I'm tired. I stayed up 10 minutes past midnight reading because I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give myself 10 extra minutes. I want to talk about it. It's not cheating in my eyes because I had circumstances come up that took away several hours from this challenge myself. Depression. It's the easiest way to put it. And I was like, I'm gonna give myself a 10-minute grace period because I was finishing a chapter in a book anyway. So I just want to be upfront about that. I'm a little loopy, but what we ended with is 10,131 pages. And before you come at me being like, well, how many of that was before the 10-minute mark? Still over 10,000. It was like 10,117. Something like that, because I only read like 9 pages in one chapter and then like 6 pages in another. I know it was over 10,000 because I read Given, and Given pushed me over the top to 10,077 at 10 minutes to go till midnight, and then I picked up Beartown and a bunch of other books, and I just started flying, reading as many pages as I could in those last 10 minutes, and that put me over the top at like 10,001 something, like, because it went from 1077 to like 10,100 and something. It was 10,117? Something like that. Bottom line is, I freaking did it. I freaking did it. I'll show you some of what I was reading. I'm not gonna go into the whole song and dance stuff. I'll do that tomorrow morning when I actually have some semblance of what I'm talking about. But some of the stuff that I finished up and read, I am a little disappointed in myself, not gonna lie, because I didn't actually finish that many books at the end of this, like, as in just words alone. I ended up just binging manga, but you know what, that's fine. That's perfectly valid as well. Part of what I finished today in the last buzzer of the game, Snow White with the Red Hair Volume 7, finished Sakura Tyson's Volumes 3 and 4, and I also finished Given Volume 3, which I'll just show you tomorrow. I'm too tired to go after it now. And Spriggan the Deluxe Omnibus Volume 1. I'm exhausted. I'm gonna go to bed. We'll talk more in the morning. Bye. It's finally over. It's finally finished. Look at this guy. I'm sitting up right next to it. That's how tall it is. I have to lean it back against this chair, and I'll show you some B-roll of me actually going down the stack because she's thick. Now, you must be wondering what these books right here are. They are representative of the books that I read online and thus do not have physical copies of, but I made sure they have as close to the actual number of page counts of those online ebooks that I could, so that way you actually have like a representation. They're all around like 300 to 400-ish pages, with the biggest one being the 528-page Kindle edition, I think, which I got represented by this guy right here, so this is where we're at. It's done. It's over. 10,131 pages. I want to go over some quick reviews that I didn't get to last night because I was way too tired. I think it was Snow White with the Red Hair, and then both Sakura Tyson's, Spriggan. Oh my god, I have so much to wrap up. Okay, you know what? We're gonna fly through this. Spriggan was really good. I have not seen the series. I have no nostalgia of it as a child, but I picked this deluxe omnibus up a while back, I think last year, maybe it was Christmas, because it seemed really interesting. I've heard a lot about it. I'm glad that I picked it up even before this challenge, because it gave me an incentive to like pick it back up again for this and be like, yes, let me get the rest of those pages because I'm already loving this story. Let's just finish it out. It's really good. I see why it's a classic. I'm going to get the second omnibus actually because that's how much fun I'm just having. It's just a lot of fun. It's just a fun story. I'm loving the human. Yes, I'm loving the human. I'm loving the humor in it. Gee, Chey, could we get more flustered? I just got done with half a workout. This is the most chaotic wrap-up ever. Why did I do this directly after a workout? Don't worry about it. Sakura Tyson 3 and 4, I really liked it. We're starting to get more backstory on the individual characters themselves. Specifically, Maria's was super interesting, and we're getting slow introductions to new characters, as well as seeing individual relationships built between some members of the team being built up on that foundation as the arc of the story is continuing, which is great because that gives us a stronger foundation when the actual big bad comes to town. You know what I mean? When, like, crap hits the fan. It's gonna be those little moments of building up on those relationships between the characters that really comes out to shine with the character development whenever push comes to shove in the main storyline. I love when stories do that. I think it's doing it really well. And like I've been saying earlier, I can tell how this very much shaped my taste in manga panels and art styles and humor and stuff. Snow White with the Red Hair, Volume 7. I don't think that I read Volume 6 yesterday. I think it was just 7. It's just a good, sweet time. It's kind of funny considering that I read a lot of darker or like a lot of heavier stakes manga and anime and stuff. And so when there are high stakes in this series and it's meant to be, you know, like this tension, like this, where oh, there's a kidnapping or, you know, whatever. I'm just like, I don't know, like I don't feel it's as high stakes. Like I'm invested in it and it's told and done really well. But I'm also just like, oh, that's as dark as we're gonna go? Oh. Because I have to remind myself this is not like a Dorohedoro, you know what I mean? This is not mud, blood, and sludge. Like, this is just a nice, like, in-depth and intricately told, you know, and fun, but, like, it's a princess, well, you know, it's like a prince romance, so, like, but I enjoy it. It's just a good time. I'm loving Obi. I'm loving the relationship dynamic with her and Obi. Obi, my boy. We also got some Mitsuhide, like, comedy whenever he got affected and was talking like someone from the 1800s. It's great. I love them. They're just full of wholesome moments with just enough angst without being too high strung, too high stakes about it. What else did I read? Given Volume 3. That was like the gung-ho last minute addition to that. I'm loving Given so far. We're finally actually getting into the meat of like when the band is being the band and the romance is taking place, and I'm just really excited to see where the rest of the series goes. I'm loving it. I'm having a good time. Also, if there's any book review that I missed, Editing Chey will also put it in here. Thank you, Editing Chey. You're working your butt off for this. Love you. How's it going? Editing Chey here on the day this is probably being uploaded because we're in a mad dash to finish editing. I forgot to put in 3 reviews that I should have in my panic. ADHD tax is fun. Okay, so Snow White with the Red Hair Volume 6, which I forgot to review, and also BJ Alex 8 and BJ Alex 9. We're gonna make this real fast, and Editing Chey, Meta Editing Chey is gonna put in the song recommendations down below as I'm giving these real speedy fast reviews. You're gonna have to forgive me because I had to write out a script for where I was gonna put it all in text form, but now I'm actually filming the wrap-up, so I'm just gonna be reading it off, okay? Shut up. Snow White Volume 6 was really fun, 10 out of 10, because I am loving the dynamics and like the new story arc that I mentioned in Volume 5 that was getting introduced. I really like getting to see the new sides of Raj and the way that the characters are interacting and coming together, even without Shiroyuki there. I mean, we get glimpses of that in other volumes, but it's nice to like just see the way they come together, especially when one of their own is in danger, and like when they actually need to pull together, as I predicted, as you know, any writing typically does, as any story typically does, if it's worth its salt, which is when it uses that groundwork character development and character interaction to showcase its strengths and weaknesses and where it still has to develop or where it still may go whenever things actually start hitting the fan plot-wise. My song recommendations are Stay Free, The Clash, All I Want by A Day to Remember, and This Could Be the Start of Something by Aretha Franklin. As for BJ Alex 8 and BJ Alex 9, 9 is basically all the side stories and the endings, so I will just say that I liked getting to see the other side, the side characters actually have their own happy ending and how that came about. It was interesting to get more of an introspective on what was going on that relationship dynamic, and that whole character, I love him anyway, and so to see him actually find his own happy ending when the whole time he had been presented as this bad luck with committed relationships, to see him actually end up happy with someone who had made him feel stable and happy and free and accepted and loved, even if it didn't come by a conventional way, which, let's be honest, the whole thing is about an unconventional relationship coming together. I just love getting to see that. But that's getting ahead of myself. That's BJ Alex 9 with the side stories. BJ Alex 8. I mean, this is basically just wrapping up the entire story. There's no big plot devices here or anything. I like the way that it ended. I'm not gonna spoiler alert this because I don't want to tell you how it ends, but you probably know it's gonna have a happy ending. BJ Alex 8 is clearly then just wrapping up the main story, and I thought it did a great job. I liked the way that it ended. I like the way that these two characters and their relationship has come about, what it's come to after all that they've been through, after all that they've been through personally, after all that they've been through together. I like where they've ended up. I love their relationship. I love them. And everything is not perfect, and that's something that I like even more. But everything is great for them in a way that they feel strong and feel enough love to continue, and they're like, yeah, we can do this. We love each other enough that we are going to see this through, and through thick and thin. And hey, that's what being in a relationship's about. It's about being there, supporting each other, working through the highs and the lows, and just loving each other. That voice crack, though. So I loved it. I enjoyed it. BJ Alex 8 and 9. Great. Editing Chey will put in the songs down here as I'm talking about them because I don't have any off the top of my head. Actually, yes, I do. Frickety frack. Oh, You and I by Someone is... It's not You and I by Someone. It's You and I by... That's gonna be for BJ Alex 8. And then I'll think of one for BJ Alex 9. Cool. Back to your regularly scheduled programming. Bye. These are the books that I finished. I know you can't see all the way to the bottom of the stack. I don't know what to tell you. Unless you want to look. I was going to say unless you want to look at my feet. I know some of you do. This is not for you. I just want to give you some stats, and I want to tell you some of the books that I started on but didn't quite finish, but yet their pages obviously still counted for this challenge. So the books that I started but didn't quite finish: Crow Planet, I got like 20 pages into that. Butcher and Blackbird, I got like 10 pages into this or something like that. We Are the Clash, I got 70 pages into this. Beartown, which I'm loving, by the way, I got 144 pages into. I also read some more in my Ernest Hemingway collection of short stories, but didn't quite finish it either. I think I read like 40 more pages in this. As for some quick stats, I'm gonna count up how many books there are here in total that I finished, and also gonna be editing Chey. I was gonna say that it's gonna be editing Chey's problem to total up the total number of pages, but that's what the whole point of this. That's what the whole point of this challenge was, Chey. That's what the whole point of this challenge was. We know how many pages there are. Can you tell that my brain is turned into mush? I'm sorry, that was really invasive of your privacy. That's probably really intense. I'm sorry. Hold on, let me fix you. The real problem is, can I fix me? The answer is no. And why would I? Oh, now you're tilted! Just like a man. 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. I finished 38 books, like totally finished. Double check, because I don't trust no one, especially myself when it comes to math. I can do it. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not even math, that's just count. A little bit of math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 35, 36, 37, 38. 38. If you watch my band t-shirt video, you'll see how terrible I am at losing track of counting, but 38 books. Finished 38 books total. How many of these had I already started and then just finished? I believe I started and finished 35 total, and then there were 3 that I had already started on and then just finished. That's pretty good. That's pretty sick. I was gonna say that's pretty swaggy, even I'm not gonna go there. Overall, what did I think about this challenge? Would I do it again? Yeah, I would, actually. I thought I would be burned out on my reading. I thought, like, I would get into a major slump. I'm ready to read again. What I did get tired of was having, like, the page minimum to hit. You know, like, I wanted to read, like, I felt like I wanted to read, but I hated being like, oh, but I have to hit 1,000 today. It just kind of, like, started killing my joy of naturally wanting to read, because it started feeling more like a chore to actually hit that number, but reading itself never felt like a chore, which was surprising. I thought that it would be. I thought my body would be, like, start being, like, have an aversion to reading, be like, I don't want to do this anymore. Which, in a way, it did, but it was still more of, I just want to have a chance to do literally any other media whatsoever. I texted Jan several times being like, girl, my brain is, like, literally consume any other form of media. Today was the first day in a while that I've listened to music while I was making breakfast instead of listening to an audiobook. Me, Chey. The first time I've, like, listened to music in, like, 10 days. It's horrible. But yeah, I would do this again. I had a lot of fun. I hope you a lot of fun. I hope you're a lot of fun. You gotta be a lot of fun if you made it this far. I would do this again. Will I do it again in a future video? We'll see. How many of these are manga versus, like, actual novels? 25 out of these 35 are manga / like, webtoons. 5 of the 7 that I read online were webtoons. 25. Yeah, 25. 25 out of 38 books were manga or webtoon. Yeah, so what happened at the end was I, like, started procrastinating, again, that aversion to being like, oh, I need to hit the minimum, and I just started binging manga. But you know what, that's fine, it's still reading, it's still winning, I still hit the count. And I got a lot of my TBR done, and I had a great time. I had a great time doing it. I loved it. I loved it. A lot of people were like, you're insane for doing this, your brain's mush. Like, how are your eyes gonna eye? And I don't know. Do I have less brain cells than what I began with? It depends on how many you think I started with, which, let's be honest, you know? Hey, where do you think you're going? We're not done here. Editing Chey, well, not editing Chey, it was filming Chey. She's the dumb one. Filming Chey, forgot to talk to you about something that kind of fell by the wayside, and that is my goals. Filming Chey had just got done with the workout and was kind of scrambling, rambling, screaming around because she had to leave soon, and so she just wanted to get the outro to the video done since we've been here forever anyway. But I mentioned the goals at the beginning of this video, so I really wanted to go over them at the end, because that only makes sense. Context, you know, I hate continuity errors. The first one was to finish Trigun. I did that. I finished the last 4 volumes of Trigun that I had to do to finish the series, and I thoroughly enjoyed them. I had a great time. It's still one of my favorite manga series of all time, and it just made me want to rewatch the anime for, like, the dozenth time. So that felt good. That felt real good, especially at the beginning of the challenge when I needed to rack up some pages early on. Really, really good. There's a random hair. Give that back to me. I don't want it. It's dead to me, quite literally. The second was to finish The Keeper of Night. Get out of... Are you trying to go to the book stack too? What is happening? The second was to finish the Keeper of Night duology, which I did. I had already read Keeper of Night, and so to finish that up, I only had to read the second book, Empress of Time. Did that, loved it, great series, another series checked off my list of the impending doom that is the continuation of never-ending series that I continue to pick up and never seem to quite finish. I think I also included finish ID Invaded in these goals. I don't remember if I did or not, but that's still a little mini goal that I had in my head anyway, which I checked off with this challenge. So far, we're 3 for 3. The biggest goal that I think that I had was to read 50% BIPOC authors, and I did that. Of this stack of all the books that I read during this challenge, there were 23 total authors. I'm not counting illustrators of various manga volumes, I'm counting the main, like, authors. Also, for that reason, not counting translators, I'm just counting the author themselves. And of course, not all manga have illustrators and authors, sometimes they're just authors. You get what I'm saying. So of all these books, of everything I read, there were 23 total authors. And out of the 23 that I read, 12 were BIPOC authors. I did over half, just one over, but still, I did it. I'm really, really happy about that because I wasn't sure how that was gonna go, especially since I was probably gonna be all over the place. I didn't quite know what books I was gonna end up reading during the challenge. It was a goal that I was trying to be cognizant of, but it wasn't like barreling at the front of my mind. It was just like, yeah, I want to make sure that like I tried to focus on that I tried to prioritize that, but it wasn't dictating exactly what I read at the moment. But still, either way, I'm glad that it ended up how it ended up, which is the completion of the goal. At first, when I was trying to total up the number of BIPOC authors, I was doing it by book alone, which out of 38, but then I realized that didn't really work because a lot of these are by the same author, and so it doesn't really work if you're counting the author multiple times, so I just actually went by author total, which is what Chey should have done the first time. But like I said at the beginning of the video, we don't do planning here. We don't do thinking here. At least not until it's almost too late. So, the one goal that I did not complete, that I failed on, which in hindsight should have been obvious, is having my current reads. Now, I will say, I did reprioritize my current reads. I went to Goodreads and I looked at stuff and I was like, would I read this during this challenge? Is this that important to me to keep it going right now? And by that metric, I cleared off a lot of them, just soft DNFing them, so I took them from my current reads and just shelved them to the DNF for now, which if you're not familiar with book terms, DNF means did not finish. Doesn't mean I'm not going to read it again in the future, just means that I'm putting it aside for right now. I'm not prioritizing it. So in that way, I took a lot of my current reading down, but what I didn't end up foreseeing, which I should have, is that I ended this challenge starting a lot of books, but not finishing a lot of them, especially towards the end when I was just in a mad dash to get as many pages as possible. All those books that I showed you at the beginning of this wrap-up, all those are now on my current reads, so yeah, I didn't end up having my current reads. I added more. But this challenge did help for me having my current reads before this challenge. So in a way, it was a success, just not in the way that I wanted it to be. I think what the biggest one about that is that now the books that are on my current reading shelf that I'm currently focusing on are ones that I am super interested in at the moment, that I feel like I could finish in the next week or month. That's a good thing. It's a good thing. I'm tired now. Mentally, emotionally, I am tired. I was going to tell you some more fun facts, some more fun stats, but honestly, I think I'm just going to pass it back to other Chey. Bye. Bet you thought you'd seen the last of me. I just want to add that while this was fun, I am excited for nothing more than to take this entire stack of books down after I make my thumbnail. This has been sitting in my living room as a spoil of war trophy, but also mocking me. This is how you spent 10 days of your life that you're never getting back. So, do I want to talk about my favorite book? I'm just going to try to pick a favorite book, because I've already done all the reviews and stuff. I really like The Horror. I know I'm still mispronouncing that, but I love that book. It was so much fun. Besides that one, though, the Nier Automata, like, short stories, those are really fun. I'd say those are, like, my top two. Plus, Done and Dusted was pretty good. Also, Sakura Tyson, though. I'm just gonna pick ID Invaded 2, because that was really special. Nier Automata, the short stories. Oh, Between Two Fires was so good. It was such a good time. And then The Horror. Those are going to be my top four in no specific order. Those were Really fun. Most of these books, like, I didn't have any flops. Like, I had some that were, like, mid, like, they're good, like, they're fine. But, like, mostly these were bangers, which is great. That tells me that, like, I'm learning my taste and, like, I know my taste really well, which can always evolve and change and stuff like that. But overall, that makes me really happy. Really proud. Okay, I'm tired. You're tired. We want to get out of here. Thank you for sticking around. If you stuck around this long, I love you. You're as crazy as I am. Maybe not, unless you participated in this. Would you participate in something like this? Would you do this? How many brain cells do you think I started with? How many do you think I have now? Tell me in the comments down below. I'm excited to get back to other videos now. I'm excited to make other things. I'm excited to be able to read without thinking about, like, hitting 1,000 a day. I'm excited just to be again, just to exist. So if you want to stick around for more chaos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. I have plenty of other videos on my channel, reviews, vlogs, just chatting, all that good stuff. But as for right now, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you ain't heard from anyone else today, I love you. Love and peace. Bye!